Welcome to Emancipated Studio. Welcome my uncle, Uncle Stu, the old man on the block.
Salute, 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 salute. What is going on in here tonight? Oh, yeah. We had the most exclusive interview with one of the most exclusive women on these YouTube streets. So I want y'all to know that this is a big night for Uncle Stu, because so many people don't even know what she looked like, other than now y'all saw the thumbnail. Most of you don't even know what she sound like, and most of you really don't know who this woman is. So you know this is going to be hot and heavy. But before we go there, let me greet all of you. To my one and only Wally is in the house. Holding it down for me, Selena is in the house. And then we got Before the Billions is in the house. And we got Big Bad Bull is in the house. And we got the one and only, all the way from Chi-Town, Chicago-Rilla is in the house. Let me let y'all know why I got Chicago-Rilla up. This Wednesday, we are having what I call the state of emergency meeting. So for all you young brothers who want to talk to us old brothers, the Generation X and the baby boomers are coming together live to have a one-on-one conversation with you. And I want to tell you, Chicago-Rilla will be part of that conversation. So make sure you are in the house this Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then we got D. Will in the house. I want you to know that the guy Tobias will also be in the house, not only here, but he's going to be here Wednesday. He's going to educate you on what it really means outside of the money, how to truly be a high-value alpha male. So y'all come on out and hear those conversations. And you also get that to talk to us. And Vaughn is in the house. He will also be part of the OG conversation. And just to let y'all know, Nathan Daly will be doing the moderation. So I want you to know we're bringing out all of the big dudes, all of the OGs to have the real conversation for the state of emergency. And believe me, if you don't get it together now, you're going to recognize we are in a state of emergency. I got Adrian Nash showing up in the house. Oh, wait. These buttons messed me up. Where you go, Adrian? I know I saw you. There you go. Adrian Nash is in the house. And, of course, the one and only, my sweetheart, Brown Eyes, is in the house. Dr. Jones is in the house. All right. So now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time. When Venezuela needed their beauty queen, they called this woman. And when Nicaragua needed a spokesperson, they called this woman. But she told both countries, I got to get out of here because I got to fly all the way to America. And what did she do? She didn't just come in America. She got down on these YouTube streets and she been supporting, rocking, pushing, and motivating African-American men to level up, get up, stay up, and love up. And she has been the biggest supporter of the Black manosphere. And so, ladies and gentlemen, Uncle Stu had to call her to this stage. So, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the one and only LuCasley 20. How
Hello.
are you? How are you? How are you?
What an amazing introduction. I am honored to be here in these YouTube streets and on your channel, Uncle Stu.
Well, thank you. I think whether I speak for the Black Manosphere or whether I just speak for Black male content creators or whether I just speak for the YouTube, Black YouTube as a whole, both male and female, you are surely respected. You are surely honored. And to have you on this platform tonight is one of the greatest honors that I could have. And so I thank you for you taking your time to come up here and have a conversation with us. So again, I think on behalf of everybody, I don't think there isn't one male in my chat that won't say thank you today.
Thank you. Thank you for
Everybody,
having me.
can we give a hand clap? Can we give a one? Can we show her some love in the chat? Let her know she is loved. Because LuCasley, a lot of people know your name. You have a huge name. So I got to ask you, before we even go into your past, the love you give the manosphere. You're a woman. You're Latina. Where is that love coming from?
I think it has to do with understanding that the world wouldn't be anything without men. And the fact that there is this idea that's being sold to the younger generations that women can do it all, it's a myth. Um, they believe it because they're in America and everything is easy here in the United States. They haven't had to really encounter hard times like a civil war and
Mm,
um, seeing warfare in their countries to know that it's the men that go out there and fight for us. And I believe that we're doing a disservice to this country, telling our young girls, our young women, our women that men we can't do without men, and that is a fallacy. That's a myth. It could never happen.
you stated that women here have never seen a civil war.
Mhm.
Have you ever seen a civil war?
Yes, in Nicaragua, when the dictatorship fell, it's really interesting how it started. Again, it starts via the colleges, universities. The younger generations, um, they start just questioning things, and um, and we saw it. We saw the fall of our country. We got out right before it because, luckily for us, we had someone um, in the administration that was going to fall that warned us and said, "You need to leave." And of course, that was communication that was done. It was really interesting because I was really young. Um, but it was my parents meeting with different people in different homes, learning about what was going on. The the It was brewing. The war was brewing, and we were told that it was time to find other avenues. Lucky for us, my dad had applied for uh, uh, a job in Venezuela in an engineer in a iron plant because he's an engineer, and he had gotten approved to travel to Venezuela. So when the the civil war hit, we were on our way to Venezuela. But people have no idea how scary it is to be in that environment. It's terrible.
What year are we talking?
I want to say maybe I know that we were there for the 1972 earthquake,
Mm-hmm.
so it was in the 70s, mid 70s.
Okay. Okay. So your country began to fall in the mid 70s.
Hmm.
And if
Yes.
I'm understanding correctly, it started in the colleges in the sense of what they was learning in the colleges that kind of fueled them to go up against the government.
Yes, idealism. The young minds are questioning what's happening with the government. That we had a dictatorship, and they were asking, why is this man here for so many years? And that's how it started. It started brewing, and it exploded. I understand that there were other countries involved in that. It was the Iran Contra
Ronald Reagan,
affair.
right? The whole Ronald Reagan thing.
Yeah. So, and lucky for us, we were able to get out and go live in Venezuela for a while. And then it's funny because as we were arriving into Venezuela, my dad was giving a friend the luggage and everything. They were welcoming us. And they said, he told my dad, you guys are terrible for having allowed your country to have fallen. And and then we see Venezuela in that state, in the same state. It fell for the same ideology that people believe it's the right one, but it's not. I've seen it twice, and it hasn't worked.
Let me ask you this. You said you've seen an ideology happen twice.
Mhm.
Do you see or do you perceive that same ideology operating here? And what does it look like for, say, those that don't really, that can't see what you may see because we're comfortable in our own, let's say, water rising high
Mhm.
type of environment?
Well, the beautiful thing about this country is that we still honor our First Amendment. We have something that's called the United States Constitution,
Mhm.
and I think it's really important for people to start reading it to understand the incredible minds that created that document that has given us a life that we have now. But at this point, what I see is the freedom of speech is not as free anymore, because if you speak against um, something that goes against the grain of what's being projected on TV and everywhere else, chances are that they're going to call for your cancellation. They cancel you. They tell you you can't be saying this. But unfortunately, if you don't allow people to speak their minds, you will never know where they come from. And that's the scary part, because in our countries, everybody kept their minds, their mouths shut. You could no longer say anything. So you didn't know where people were coming from. In this country, whether you like the government, whether you don't, it's okay to say it. The danger is for people to start saying, it's not okay for you to say this. It should be okay to say anything, because that's the only way that you learn where people come from.
Let me ask you a question, Casey. There are some, because you talked about the Constitution of the United States. You talked about everyone should study. You have certain sectors of the African American community that would say the Constitution wasn't for us. Again, they say the Constitution wasn't for us. Um, we don't have no rights to the Constitution, etc.
Mhm.
How would you argue to speak to or argue against that argument about studying the Constitution of the United States and what it should mean to us today versus yesterday? And when I say yesterday, post-slavery, slavery.
Mhm. Mhm. Um, I think it's important to read something that's kind of like the Bible for this country.
Mm.
Although many say, and I've heard it in school because I went to higher education here. I've got my bachelor's from Sacramento University, so I
Okay.
have heard the narrative. that they say that it was a bunch of um, uh, owners of slaves that created that, old white men that created that. But if you really take a look at the depth of what it is that that document has, that document has no color. That document is about rights of people. Yeah, back then slavery was awful and there were no rights for the slaves, but after they were freed, they are also part of that constitution. And I think I truly advocate for people to understand what it is that each of those uh, items on the preamble and the amendments, to understand what those are. And it applies to all of us. It's not only to white people, it's not only for Black people, it's for all of us.
Wow. With that being said, and I'm not saying I'm giving you this argument. The argument now would be, Casey don't know what she's talking about. She's Spanish. She's Latina. All black men want this Latina, so they just gonna bow down to this Latina. How do you argue that you're speaking your truth without men allegedly catering to you because of your the color of your skin or because of your ethnicity? That you're speaking from a political science mind and not this, they will call it captain or simping or whatever these terms they use. But for the intellectual, how would you argue against that narrative that people would say?
I would say, as a Latina that came here when I was very young, without knowing the language, without knowing anything about this country, I think that um, reading that document has given me a sense of understanding of where everyone that is born here comes from. And to me, as an adopted American, it allows me to have much more respect for this country and to love it more. And maybe it's kind of like blind love because I haven't been exposed to what actual folks that have lived here in the country, and the harshness maybe that they've lived in this country. I haven't experienced it. All of it, I've experienced this. I was adopted by this country. I was given incredible opportunities. My family has thrived in the country. And this is something that we are, we know that if we had stayed back in Nicaragua and Venezuela, we would have never been as successful as we are here. I can tell you that anybody that moves to the United States, if they want to be successful, they will become successful. Of course, it requires hard work. We had to work 3, 4 times harder than the regular person, but that's okay. That's what we came here for, to make it here in the United States and not to be a burden to the country that adopted us, to be working citizens.
Now, with Casey, what's so amazing, if I can say, your dedication to the African American community amongst any other community, especially, I could say I can personally know you more being around African American male spaces.
Mhm.
And I will boldly say, you're not around these spaces looking for a man because you're married.
Mhm.
You're not around these spaces taking off. Normally, you're behind a meme, so no one really knew what you look like. You're never up on platforms, so no one really knows what you sound like. Only thing we know is what you type in the chats.
Mhm.
That's mostly all we know. Those many of us came out of the lead attorney wing, so we heard your name shout out in the lead attorney's wing. What makes you be around so many black male content creators? And we're not talking just TLA. We're not just talking Mansfield. We're just talking black male content creators. What is that love? Or what is that care? What is it that attracts you to hearing these men?
Because I see that somehow I don't know if it's a disconnect on um, how women see, or maybe, I don't know if it's Black women see the Black men. For me, from what I see, is that the Black man is seen as, I don't know, the provider, but not really the father. I do see that there's a lot of single mothers in your community. And I think for me, it goes back to history. I know that Planned Parenthood was created by someone who used the church and the woman to say that deleting a baby was birth control rather than what it really is. And I think that also the fact that there's a lot of dependency on the government to bring up your children. You don't need the man because the government has become the father in the institution. And I see it in the Black community because for me, you are the strongest community, the strongest, you have the strongest base, and it's the one, this is my own opinion, that one ideology wants to destroy. Because once the Black community goes, then everybody else does. Once the strongest of the communities is demolished, everybody else follows. So the reason I'm into these mainly content creators that discuss about, the Black man's challenges and what's going on in their families, because a nuclear family is the most important to create a civil society. And it seems that the nuclear family is falling apart in the Black community. And I'm not only saying the Black community, also the Latinos that come here. I see many Latinos are following that same ideology, that they don't need the man, they don't need anything, but we are still believing in the nuclear family. So again, it's a battle, because the newer family members in my family, when we have get-togethers, it's really challenging when we hear the younger ones saying the same talking points that they are taught in schools about them being as free as they can be without consequences. And um, and we try to pull them back and say no, that's not the way it is. The family member, it's usually a patriarchy. The dad is the leader in the home. I don't care what anybody says. You need the leader, and it's got to be the man, because the man is the one that provides structure. We have a lot of women here living their lives without any structure whatsoever. And that's because they don't have either a dad in the picture, or they've left their husbands because they want to live a life without consequences.
With that being said, would you say, no, I don't want this question to sound like I'm steering you to a talking point, to an ideology.
Mhm.
I'm going to use something you said earlier when you talked about in your country and in Venezuela that they was learning things in the college institution,
Mhm.
which was going against the government. Do you see that same line argument here in the United States, where daughters or women are going to colleges, learning an ideology, but instead of attacking presidential issues or the Congress or the Senate, they're attacking the men in their homes and in their community? Is that where you're putting that parallel of teaching?
Yes, I think the school system is teaching young girls that they can do it all. That idea of, I think they've taken the concept of equality in a wrong way. Yeah, we are equal as humans, but men and women are not equal, and there's a reason why we're not. God or the universe or nature made a man and the woman to have different characteristics, different capacities for a reason. And the fact that everything is being merged to be anything goes, it's causing a lot of problems. And I do see that it's a lot in the educational system and also the media. The media has to do a lot with that, with that continuation of saying that the man should be put aside or the man is not important in our society, which it's absolutely wrong. It's incorrect. It's not helping us.
LuCasley, I'm trying to be solution oriented
Mhm.
based on what we've talked about thus far, based on some of the arguments that you have to get. How do we put this genie back in the bottle, or is it too late? And this is going on your experiences from your country. Is it too late? Are we just now headed for disaster?
I hope it's not too late. I think the fact that there's an environment in YouTube of men trying to maybe look at the issues and discuss them and talk about them and bringing people in to understand what the most immediate or urgent issues are. I think we can save it, but it's got to get done. I mean, I'm not sure how it could get done. I think that YouTube is social media is a good start, um, but I think we need to start making sure that we focus on creating nuclear families and um, making sure that we state that the nuclear family is what makes society. Without it, we are done.
Because it is several arguments. As you heard in my introduction, I'm getting ready to put together what I call state of emergency. My introduction to the state of emergency is men who are of one generation versus men who's in a totally different generation. We got Generation X, which would be considered my generation, and right now we're going past the millennials to the Gen Zs. Gen Z's argument is that the older generation didn't teach them a lot. The older generation don't know what they're talking about. The older generation sold them out. The older generation don't even talk to them. Um, and I'm quite Chicago really will help me with all the Gen Z talking points. My question to you for us as men, what can we older people do to help save the younger? Because for me, and I want everybody at the sound of my voice to understand, do I see the problem? Absolutely. Do I know certain solutions? Absolutely. Is things different from when I came out of high school versus them? Absolutely. Do I have solutions? Absolutely. But how do I get the younger generation to recognize they're in an emergency and there's certain arguments they got to stop having and we got to just do the work? Help me help them, or help me with an understanding of how to say to the Gen Zs, we got work to do and we don't have time to fight.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have time to blame each other. We don't have time to fight. We got to do something now.
Mm-hmm.
From your observation, what does that look like? Or help this older generation to really talk to that younger generation.
One of the things that I see on the younger generations is that they want to be acknowledged, they want to be heard when there are discussions about this. I don't think they want to be known as, oh, you're younger, you don't know much about what we're talking about, but we do. I think that they don't like that. I think they want to be active participants in the discussions, even though we have 20 plus years over them on experience and knowledge, and just because we've lived longer than they have.
Mhm.
I think that that's one of the things that I do see in some discussions, that uh, the younger generation wants to be heard, and and that's fine. That is great. So, and I think that us older generations, we say, well, we're older, you got to respect us just because we're older, and
Right.
they don't see it that way. They, I guess they believe that you're going to earn my respect. At this point, we're just talking, we're discussing ideas, but I want to be heard. I think that maybe understanding their communication styles
Mhm.
would help to start kind of making that communication bridge a little shorter, because they listen. Even with my nieces, I have a niece that's 16 years old and I have one that's 13 years old. When my sisters and I were talking in our group, they're listening to what we're saying all the time, and then you hear them after saying, oh, remember Tia Lucy, Aunt Lucy, Tia Lucy said this when she was talking. They listen, but you just have to acknowledge that their input is important.
Excellent. I'm going to take a 30-second commercial break. Just hold on right there. First of all, I want to thank every single person in the chat, everyone that's listening that's not in the chat. I just want each and every single one of y'all hit that like button right now. Let's get the lights up. That's number one. Number two, you like this conversation? You want to see more of this conversation? I need you to hit that subscribe button. Likes and subscribe is absolutely free. Absolutely free. So these are things that don't cost you a dime. Likes and subscribe is free. Let me put this out here for all of you that is Generation Z and Millennials. Wednesday, I did exactly what I said I would do. You wanted the baby boomer, I got you the baby boomer. You wanted us Generation X, I got Generation X. So I'm letting you know that the baby boomers and the Generation X will be on my platform this Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we're going to do a listen and talk tour. And what are we going to do? We're going to listen, we're going to talk, we're going to listen, and we're going to work. But I'm here to tell you, we are in a state of emergency, gentlemen. And all of us is going to have to fix this issue together. So us older people is going to listen to you younger people. Tell us what you're looking for so that we can put in the work and give you what you need. And at the same time, we're here to also acknowledge we see the problem. We understand the problem. We are getting the problem. We are not running from the problem. So you let everybody know on these YouTube streets that Uncle Stu is not running from the problem, because I see the problem. And I'm here to fight with you to solve the problem. We're going to have results, period. We're going to do it. We're going to do it together. I need you just as much as you need me. We got to do this together. We got to do this together. If you here to learn how to pump and dump, this ain't the place to be. But if you want to learn, and if you want me to hear how to go from being a boy to a man, how to go from being poor to rich, how to go from being single to married, how to just deal with everyday life as a man, come to the emergency meeting that I'm having here Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let me tell all the ladies in the chat, you need to be at that emergency meeting too. You need to be at that emergency meeting too. because there's going to be some conversation, some tough talk, some real understanding. We all need to survive. According to Nathan Daly, we once was over 13% of the population. Now we are at 12% of the population. Ladies and gentlemen, we are losing. We ain't got time for foolish talking points. Ladies, we ain't got time for foolish conversations. We're losing as a black community. And if I didn't give a damn about you, if I didn't love you, I wouldn't be here. So I don't want to hear no more conversation about the old people don't give a damn about us. Uncle Stu give a damn because he's here. And Uncle Stu give a damn because he made sure he put a platform together that you, as young as 18, all the way up to 88, can be at this emergency meeting. Wednesday, 7 p.m. I see y'all there. Let's get my likes up. Let's subscribe. Get the word out to everybody and subscribe. Commercial break is now over. LuCasley, I want to thank you. The interview is not over, but I want to thank you for allowing me just to give that commercial break.
Absolutely.
And let me give a big shout out. I want everybody to do me a favor. One of my moderators, make sure you put Michonne Denise. This has been one of my biggest supporters, my cheerleader, and I have been supporting her since she had 30 subs. Ladies and gentlemen, she has now hit the 1K. So give it up, give it up. And she did it within 6 weeks. 6 weeks, y'all. She got monetized. Shout out to her. Shout out. LuCasley, we have an emergency on our hands. We have some people in these communication spaces. I'm going to go back to ethnicity for the moment. We have people in these spaces that say, "Hey, we want a day out." We all of a sudden, your race became the trophy race. In that trophy race, everyone got this hypothetical idea of what Britain looked like. I mean, what Brazil looked like, or what your country looked like, or what Venezuela looked like. Basically, the trope of the Latina community. For some people, they say, y'all countries is poor, all you women is doing nothing but washing clothes in the river. And that these so-called black men from America come to y'all country, take y'all out the river, and bring you to America so that you can become American. And I'm reading your face right now. LuCasley, can you speak to that argument? And I'm talking about Spanish communities in today. I'm not talking about war-torn Spanish community. Can you speak to the countries today?
I mean, that's a great, it's a good idea to maybe go to other countries and get somebody from a different culture. I don't see anything wrong with that because, again, I've lived in different countries, different cultures. To me, everybody's the same. But I do see that the Black community wants to, they have their I don't know, their culture in them. They want to be Black. So the more you go out there, you're going to start having mixed children. I don't know how that works. I don't know if that's good or bad. If you go out there and get a Latina, a Brazilian, anybody from Latin America, you bring them over here, they learn the language, maybe they go to school, higher education, they watch TV, they're going to get that same indoctrination about them not needing a man. Them, once they get here, anybody, their friends, if they're single friends, they're going to say, why is this Why are you with this man that wants to keep you in the house, wants to give you structure, wants to, it's toxic because, again, there's always excuses. The man provides structure. He's the one that says this is how it is. Whereas, you know, us ladies, we like to live our life the way we want. But if you plan on being married, just be careful because if you bring them here, that indoctrination, it starts the minute they come in and they start watching TV, they start listening to their friends, they start going to school. The mind gets changed very quickly, and that's the only thing that I would say that I would caution those men that want to go to Latin America and bring the women back to the United States. That ideology is here to stay, and it's going to create problems. Now, if you go to Latin America and stay in Latin America, because we still have that, we believe in the patriarchy, that men are supposed to be leaders and the women are supposed to be, at home taking care of the kids, maybe have a, I don't know, part-time job, but typically they're stay-at-home moms in our countries. If you want to live there, that's great, but if you want to bring them here, you're going to have a battle to deal with someone that once they learn the language and start seeing how things are over here, the men are going to have a hard time with the women. If the women aren't as traditional as they are supposed to be. So I'm thinking that if they go to Latin America, just make sure that you meet the parents, you meet the family, see the family structure and how the daughter deals with the mom and the dad. Are there moms and dads in the house? Because also there's divorce in Latin America. So that's another thing. Um, but yeah, that ideology is here in the United States, and it creates issues, even for people that come from other countries to live here.
I I know that you speak the truth. I'm from New York, so I have watched in my own lifetime first generation of any group that's first generation. What happens to the second generation?
Mhm.
And then the third, you can forget it. There is absolutely no connection.
Mhm.
When I was in New York, uh, I watched first generation, whether they was Puerto Rican, Dominican, Cuban, Venezuelan, Ecuadorian, Panamanian. I mean, straight multicultural. First generation, they talk all about their country and what they've been through. Second generation, they talk half about their country because of what their parents said, but they got more of the Americanism in. By the time the third, I'm just Panamanian because my granddad, as far as going to Panama, understanding it, the language, they barely would know the language. So I've seen exactly what you're talking about. For us as men, I'm not always in the same position as other men, but I also acknowledge that I'm, I'm I got a good one, but I know that a lot of my brothers can't find the type of woman that I have, and I acknowledge that women has changed. In my eyes, women has changed, but in your eyes, have women changed over the last 20 years, or was we, the older men, blind to what was happening as it was happening? Or what do you see being here?
I think that life is too easy for everybody here. I know that in our countries, we're worrying about where the next meal is going to come. If your dad is working or not, or your dad gets picked up by the National Guard and he never comes back home. So I think that there's the kind of worries in the states are nothing like it would be in our countries. I do see that women, young ladies here, um, I don't know, they see examples on TV and daily bombarding of just hypersexuality, that young ladies are are dressing older even when they're 12 or 13. And they think that the outside is what makes them rather than the inside. They're not focusing on, I don't know, maybe spirituality, religion. Uh, God is not important anymore. Um, so I think that inside we're kind of hollow. We're hollow young people. There's especially women, girls. I mean, you see it on, how they dress, how they present themselves. There's no um, elegance in speaking to an older person. The respect to oneself and to other people is not there. And I don't know where that comes from. It's interesting to see that um, anything that requires respect, it no longer has it. Girls have no respect. Women have no respect for anything anymore. And I don't know if that's a factor of maybe we've become too much of a secular um, uh, country, that you don't have anybody to, you have no consequences. You don't have anybody that's saying, later on, you're going to pay for this. This behavior is not going to be good on the long run. But I don't think we're having those that tell those young ladies that behavior that they are portraying right now is going to hurt them in the long run.
I'm gonna ask this last question before I bring up my mastermind group. Um, because okay, with your permission, I would like to even have a second interview with you. Reason being because I believe, especially for those that's probably going to be contacting me in the next couple of days, it's going to be some deeper dive questions, and I think those deeper dive questions needs to come. Um, I am honored again that you gave me the opportunity to interview you, because I know you don't interview with a lot of.
No, I'm an introvert, so this is really, extra for me. So you're very special.
Thank you. I want I want everybody to understand that that's what I'm about, giving the interview and having a deeper dive and a good intellectual conversation. And I want women to feel protected when that happens, because a lot of them are afraid to go on men's panels and say things, and I got it. I understand. But, again, it was definitely an honor. And I would definitely like to have you back again very soon.
Absolutely. Yes, I'll be happy to.
Anybody in my mastermind group that wants to come up, my mastermind groups is the one that y'all want to come up, speak to LuCasley before I open up the full chat. Real Nathan Daly, do me a favor. I'm about to drop the link. This is strictly for Nathan Daly only. So if you come up, you're going to be stuck if you think you're going to come and see it. But this is for Nathan Daly. I need him definitely to come up, because he's a very pivotal person on this state of emergency conversation for Wednesday.
Sure is. TLO.
And I need you to understand, if you've never been on Uncle Stu's platform, normally I have this button, but I'm just going to orally tell you, when you come onto the platform, while you're in the back, I need you to uncam up so I can verify who you are. But while we're on the panel, Um, I really need you to be uncam. If you're a woman, I need to see you in the back, and then you can turn your camera off in order to be on the panel itself. We got to make sure that we keep this panel safe at all times. Because as you know or may not know, there are people that love taking down channels because they don't have nothing else to do. Nothing else to do. Sometimes there's a delay, so people can be hitting the link and then there's a delay. And he's going to give his own introduction. So I don't have to give an introduction. He got his own personal introduction. Go for it, sir.
What's up, everybody? This is William from Before the Billions. Thank you so much, Uncle Stu, for having me up here.
Yes, sir.
LuCasley, it's a pleasure to see you, and I think that this was a great interview. Um, Uncle Stu, thank you so much also for inviting me as well. Really
Yes,
do
sir.
appreciate that. Yes.
Yes, sir.
So
So,
before the billions, your name is William.
yes, ma'am, it is.
Nice to meet you, William.
It's nice to meet you as well.
Oh,
So, yeah,
my name is Lucy, by the way.
Lucy, right?
Yes.
I remember. I think you told me that beforehand.
Mhm.
So, yeah, Lucas, it's actually really good to actually speak with you. The first time I saw you, you were on, I think you canned up on TLA, I believe the first time.
I think it was no. The only other place that I've camped up is has been either on the Lapive show or Amira, the exiled lioness, or something like that.
I think
Okay,
I seen your on cam on a mirror. That's where I
Yes,
yeah.
okay, so
yes, I think
that's
so.
probably where I saw it then.
Yes.
But yeah, and also I wanted to ask you this question: is that let's say I know you don't have a YouTube, well, you have a YouTube channel, but if you were to start creating content, what type of content would you create?
Oh, I don't know. I'm too much of an introvert to have any kind of a channel. I don't know. Maybe, that's a good question. Uh Maybe if I travel to Nicaragua, I would start with showing the important places to go in my country. I know that I can't go back to Venezuela because that is right now is just it's terrible. I am more comfortable going back to Nicaragua, maybe doing some kind of historical thing, um, mixing my parents, where they're from, and the places we go to. I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe talking about issues happening with the younger generation, especially young ladies. Um, Learning about etiquette, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. That's a good question. I haven't really thought about it because I don't know if I would ever create a channel. It's that's I have a lot of respect for all of you content creators because it looks like it's a lot of work to maintain a channel, and maintain the interest from people that come in and see your content. So I applaud you for having all these channels because I don't know if I could ever do it.
You know what, Lucas, is that I think that a lot of people are introverted, right? Like I did a whole live stream talking about people being introverted, but self isolation is a bad thing. And then we actually did a personality test. And so, like as an example, I see the number one moderator up in all of YouTube, Gail at Night. She actually tested for being an introvert, but yeah, she still has a channel as well, trying to provide value for people. So I think that it would work out for you too. I mean, introverted people, you can spend a lot of hours working on a specific thing, especially sitting in front of a computer screen, right? So, but yeah, also Lucchese, I don't know if this question is off limits or anything, but what type of work do you do?
Right now, I work for the state of California. I am working in a department that provides licensing for private post-secondary education. So I'm an analyst. I look at their applications, go through an infinite number of items that we need to have them go through to be able to get a license. And that's my full-time job. And I know that if I were to create a channel, I would have to be retired to even do part-time channel. There's no way I could do this. This is a lot, you guys, a
It
lot.
is. Yeah.
It is. It really is. And
It,
yeah, that introverted stuff, everybody wouldn't believe. Everybody doesn't believe. When it comes to crowds of people, I don't do crowds of people. And you can't get brown eyes to she'll tell you the total opposite. Everywhere I go, I talk to somebody. But, I'm a very private person, believe it or not. Believe it or not. Again, while I got her on the stage, boy, let me tell you, Miss Denise has been putting it.
She has.
Oh, thank you so much.
6 weeks ago, she had like 32 subscribers. I caught her on Suzette's speech. Then she was sitting down with Gail at night. Next thing I know, she was roasting people left and right, left and right. Next thing I know, and she go 1K. I said, "Go ahead, girl." So yeah, I got a shout out. Don't worry, y'all. She gonna be with Uncle Stu giving her interview.
I look forward to that so much. This is a great interview that you're having here. It's so good to see you, to physically see you, LuCasley. Lucy, now that I know. And she is everywhere. She's just awesome. She's always everywhere, but she comes to me, little old me. I love it. I appreciate you. I'm glad that you're here. Everywhere I go, she's another one that I see as well. So that's awesome.
Oh, I love your channel. I love when you start doing the reaction channels. I love your commentary. It's just, and I feel the same way when you're saying those things about some of the nonsense that you see online. It's incredible. So
Definitely.
I feel it.
Nonsense.
I feel it when you feel it.
Yeah, definitely it's nonsense. But I appreciate your support. I appreciate, Uncle Stu shouting me out. And you're right, this stuff is not easy. But if you do it, we all gonna come support you. If you decide to do it, you're gonna be at 1K on the first day. So
You ain't lying.
we there.
She gonna blow
Thank
all
you.
of us out
Thank
the
you
way
so much.
and 10K in a week. Before I got you to speak, Seattle Black Washington, give me one moment.
No worries. Take your time, sir.
Big Bad Bull, thank you so much for the $50 cash app at LuCasley. Thank you so much for doing this interview. You are very well respected and appreciated. I feel I am a part of history witnessing this right now. Thank you so much for the $50 cash app. Another commercial break. Nathan Daly is here. Are you able to come up or you want to speak behind the me?
Yeah, I'm looking a hot mess right now. Y'all don't want to.
You can't be worse than me, brother.
Look, don't tell me you like the women like, oh, my hair got to get done.
Hey, every time I cam up, I got to cam up correct now.
I ain't mad at you.
I can't ruin this beautiful stream. You got the gorgeous LuCasley on here. I can't be messing it up now.
My favorite officer. I love
Yes.
you. Thank you so much.
the lead officer.
The lead
That's
officer,
the
yeah.
lead officer.
Yeah.
LuCasley, it is a pleasure to see you. You're just bringing so much glow and this awesomeness to the channel. No offense, Uncle Stu. No offense. LuCasley is blessed. She's blessing the stream right now. She's blessing the stream.
Yes, she is.
LuCasley, I just want to say thank you so much for always just supporting and giving, just words of wisdom and just kind of just backing a lot of the content that comes out of here, out of this space. It means a lot, especially coming from a woman, having a woman's perspective along these things too, because these are difficult conversations all across. And there's a big gender war going on now, so it's such a beautiful feeling to have the support of women from all ethnic backgrounds. I think it's tough conversations, and you're always here supporting, always lifting us up. So, and especially myself on my channel, I really, really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. So I'd set my reminder to make sure I came on here to be able to speak to you directly. So thank you so much again.
Thank you so much.
And Nathan, can you do me a favor? I did a commercial break earlier about the state of emergency. And as you know, in the back channel, I said, I can't moderate that. You have to take over.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm ready. I'm ready.
So just for that one moment, can you speak to, your heart, your passion for this state of emergency and what you see? Because as I stated to them earlier, I want the young generation to know that I came through with my promise. You want to talk to the OGs? We here. We're here to listen. We ain't here to fight. We're going to hear what you got to say. But then you got to hear what we got to say because we are in a state of emergency. And maybe everybody needs to really hear what the state of emergency is coming directly from you and how you are and what you seeing and why this is a serious conversation for this Wednesday.
Yeah. So, thank you again for having me, Uncle Stu, on the platform as well. Shout out to Before the Billions and Seattle Black Veteran as well. Is it Mikan Denise?
Michon.
Michon? All right, Michon. It's so hard with these names these days trying to get
all good.
So I will say the state of the emergency conversation that needs to be had is just basically kind of putting everything in context, understanding that there is powers at play that want to divide, all of us. And there is a specific agenda for each and every group, so we're not special, whether you're Black or another minority, nobody's special. No one's getting favoritism, but when we start to put a magnification on the Black community, we understand that our community is under life support. And there is a lot of division. There's a lot of things that need to be addressed from generational breakdowns. There are things from generation to generation that haven't been passed on. The baton hasn't been passed properly. We know that there's an intentional attack with the use of media, marketing, false information, misinformation, disinformation. I throw all three of them out there. And because they're all they're done differently, and they're very strategic. And there's a lot of confusion. And I think it's important that we come together and have a honest conversation, because there's been a lot of division, especially between the younger generation and those that we call the OGs, or the ones that are they got one foot out the door, one foot in. We got to have an honest conversation about respect, about wisdom, about intelligence, because we know those are two totally different things. Shout out to Seattle Black Veteran. He had the School of Brother last week on my channel about that. And that is one of the biggest problems, that everyone's smart, but too many people are lacking wisdom. And the wisdom that we get for those who have already been here or already done it. And we have to get to a point to where we get all the generations on the same playing field, and understand that this is a mission first. It's not about your personal feelings. It's not about what you think you know. It's about what needs to be done. And I think that's kind of the conversation that needs to have. Like, hey, listen, I understand how you feel, but what we need to do is this. And can you put those things, can you put your personal differences or what you think things are aside, so that we can handle the greater mission? And I feel like that's where we have lost the purpose. What is our purpose from generation to generation? What should we be doing? Are you willing to do what's best for the greater group, and not just yourself? And that is key to fix this problem. And the powers that be know that if they can inspire people to be more selfish, then ultimately that will be the greatest weakest link in this massive chain of power, is to encourage people to be selfish. Therefore, we won't come together and actually utilize our strength, which is as a group. And that applies for everybody: Black, white, Asian. Asians, they got it all together. and just overall, that applies to everybody. And again, the biggest tool that they're using is division and misinformation to get us separated. So,
And what I want to add to what Officer Daly said, and one of the greatest things that he said was, "This is not about a one leader show. Uncle Stu is taking the lead because I want you to know that I heard you. I've been out there listening, deep diving with Edward Anderson, deep diving on Bernard Rowley's show, deep diving in Before the Billions, deep diving with Nathan Daly, deep diving with El Guapo. I've been deep diving with Obsidian. I've been deep diving with O'Shea B. Jackson. I've been deep diving in many conversations out here. I've been deep diving. So I'm hearing it. I'm hearing the arguments. I said it on Bernard Rowley's show. It is my generation's responsibility to hear you, to acknowledge some of the things that you are going through, to acknowledge some of the issues you are going through, to acknowledge that, hey, things that happened when we grew up in the 80s and the 70s, it's not that way now. We want you to know, we see it. But we're here to say we're not trying to fight you. Now, we do know that there's people our generation that don't want to hear you. We understand that. We do know that there's people our age is going to tell you, shut up, do it my way, you don't know what you're talking about. I got it. But Uncle Stu was trying to take the lead in saying, I hear you, and I'm getting the older generation to listen, but out of respect, some of us do know answers. Some of us got solutions. We just need you to get on board with some of these solutions. We just need you to get on board with some of these solutions. XDMC, no, I don't know nothing about the 70s, but give me the 80s, oh, we're going to rock and roll. We going to do it up. I know the 80s, but we need you to understand we see the division. Some of us couldn't have prevented a lot of things that happened because it happened. But we can help you in acknowledging the problem and in trying to start fixing the problem. We're not looking for the Messiah effect. What is the Messiah effect? It can't be all Uncle Stu. It can't be all Seattle Black veteran. It can't be all Nathan Daly. It can't be all Before the Billions. It's not an all or nothing. You might have to take some from Nathan Daly to get you through. You might have to take some from Seattle Black veterans and get you through. You might have to take a piece from Before the Billions. You might have Dr. Thunder is in the house. You might have to go to Dr. Thunder and get some things from him. There's other YouTubers coming that is dropping their egos. Let me say this again. They're dropping their egos to come here and to have the talk. And then they're going back to their platforms with y'all information. So if you think the OG Uncle Stu don't love you, I'm proving it this Wednesday. I love you because this is why I'm doing it. I love you because this is why I'm doing it. So I'm not the OG that said, y'all shut up, sit in the back, don't say nothing. I'm not here to beat you up. I'm here to lift you up. There's going to be some things that you ain't going to like Uncle Stu saying because this is an emergency and I don't have, in theory, time to apologize for every 300 things you may have been through. What I do have time to do is acknowledge it, but we got to move. We can't stay here. We got to move. I make everybody laugh. Since everybody's into this stealing stuff, let me steal a joke from Dr. Thunder. Dr. Thunder threw out the joke. He said the first simp, the first simp was Adam. He gave up the whole garden. But thank God we got Job. He came back and said, "Thou foolish woman, I am not cursing God and die." And he got blessed. So can we all be like Job and just say, we can be blessed, but we got to fight. We got to fight. Uh-oh. If he don't show up on my platform, LuCasley, you unsubscribe from him. I need the moderators to drop the lead a nice little chat because he came in talking about Uncle Stu, OMG, the #1 smooth cat. See, he's saying that smooth guy, he about to get me divorced. The stream shut down. I'm gonna have the divorce papers. And look, y'all know brown eyes is protected by the women out here, so they're gonna rip me apart. Can we drop the stream for the lead? Lead, come on and bless LuCasley. Come on, give us a shout out.
Tell him that I'm going to speak Spanish to him. He likes to hear people speaking Spanish.
Oh, wait. LuCasley, get him now. He's talking about I'm in bed with my girl, LOL. So I can't cam up. But I
no.
No, we don't want to see that, Lee.
No, we don't.
No gracias.
TMI.
Right, TMI, Lee, TMI.
We're good.
We don't need you on camera. Just say hi.
That is too funny.
Oh, man. Much love and respect to the lead attorney. Much love. But I want you guys to know, man, Uncle Stu is trying. I'm trying. But I can't do this alone. That's why I had to call out Nathan Daly, who's going to do the moderation. So I'm not even going to be in charge of the moderation. I'm pushing buttons, but that's as far as I'm going to get. He's going to be controlling the panel. So even when we OGs go off pocket, it's going to be him that's going to lay it down and say, stop, be quiet, and Uncle Stu had to shut up. We getting before the billions. 26 years old. He's got to talk to us. Millennial Mark TV. Intentional Millionaire. Very unlikely. Even little Big Nate is showing up. Tobias is showing up. I'm quite sure if Dr. Thunder can give 10, 15, 20 minutes of a statement, he's showing up. We're dropping our ego, gentlemen. This is not about trying to blow up one platform and just the one platform is doing what he's doing. No, this is about coming together, one platform, everybody hearing, listening, having a voice, and being able to go to their own platform, and they understand each one has got to do the work. I'm hoping the lead shows up. Not for the likes, clicks, and views, gentlemen, but the lead has done something, and it's time for us to now take some of the weight off of him. What has the lead done? He has opened up, busted up, and created a space for professional men to come in and do professional things.
Yep.
Police officers, engineers, other lawyers, realtors, tax people, all of the tools you need to survive, and no, forget surviving, to live. To live. So it's time for us to say to the lead, at least for me, if no one else want to say it, I will boldly say it. Thank you, lead attorney. You asked for the OGs to come on this platform and do something and help the young people, and Uncle Stu is taking the lead and becoming the lead uncle on these YouTube streams.
Come on, lead uncle.
You can call anyone uncle, but I am the lead uncle. Y'all better shout it out up here.
Y'all drop something in the collection plate one time for
exactly.
The lead uncle.
The lead uncle.
Seattle Black Veteran.
And the preacher.
Hey, it's a blessing to be with each and every one of you. It's so beautiful. I'm subscribed to everybody's channel. I like that. And Nathan. Hey, y'all guys hit this brother up. Nathan, you still got me messed up on that Jay-Z video. I'm still rocking it in my cranium.
Hey, the video was so powerful. You two had me take it down. It was too much for him.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh man, I messed around and put that on my Facebook page. I don't know.
Do your thing, brother. Spread the love. We gotta spread the wisdom.
But hey, okay, so I am the Seattle Black veteran, and everybody's going. My first name is David. I started my channel to help Black and Brown veterans because we were getting a lack of a lot of the information what we needed to help out our veterans who were actually deserving of their benefits and their what is pay and everything else. And if you look behind me, you see all this paperwork still on my keyboard. I'm 100% disabled veteran. You think it would stop there? No, sir. And this is why on my channel, I don't bring you all the paperwork and that. I take you through exactly what I go through. This week, I got dental vision appointments, and I'm going to talk more about that for everybody who's working on that and how you can get those benefits taken care of you. So that's the gist of my channel. And I just take you through every day. I walk you through it because, in LuCasley, you can probably can contest to this. You can give people the paperwork, but unless they actually see the route, they really kind of still confused. So I'd like to take them. I say, hey, I just came out of the hospital. This is what we're doing. This is what you got to do. And this is what they're going to ask you for. I try to get everybody abreast of that. But let's get to what you guys are talking about. And it's so beautiful to see you, Lucy. I hear the name a lot. And I don't blame you, though. I'm an introvert like you because I only put up videos when I'm really inspired to do it. And I've been asked to do a lot of people to come on. They say, Dave, let's get together and let's do this. And I still have yet. And my girl Luscious Journey, she knows that. She hits me up. Good friend of mine. But I'm still waiting till I get about 20 videos up. Okay, let's get to the point though. And I agree with you. I believe that you know what, it kind of reminds me of what's happening now, like we say with the media and everything. It's back in the, let's go 60s. I was born in 63, so I'm the oldest guy on the block right now. I'm 58, so I'm pushing it, okay? But, okay, so...
Vaughn may have you now. Vaughn, I think Vaughn got you by a year now.
Oh, does he? Okay, Big Red Barn must respect. Salute, my brother. And thanks for giving me a shout out, Big Red Barn. I appreciate it. So what happened in, if you ever go back and see a movie called Claudine with James Earl Jones, and I forget the female actor's name, but they were actually showing when the social worker came over to the house, they would tell the Black man, you got to get him out of the house because if you're making too much money, we're going to take you off the welfare and we're going to take you out of the system. So we go, berating the head of the family. We started berating him, but I think it was on Nathan's channel too. We were talking, maybe it was another person's. I think it was on another person's channel. They said, well, when did they start emasculating men? I said, well, as a Black man, we've been getting emasculated from the day we stepped on the boat, right? And we made it over here, and it's still today. So, and then we'll take it further. And the reason why I say it kind of reminds me back then, remember back in the day, Uncle Stu, we used to have home ec in school. You go and learn how to sew, cook, learn how to cook, learn the basic things of survival. Now we don't bring the...
Bro, don't send me out. We ain't had that in high school.
Oh, okay, my bad.
I had it in specialized high school, man.
We had it in junior high. I had it in junior high. It was, but if you notice now, and that's why, and you know what, it's really beautiful that you have this channel up because I was just recently talking with a brother who's 70 years old and he's moving to Switzerland. He says the Black man gets more respect out there. And I agree with what LuCasley is alluding to, is that there is more culture in Mexico than you start seeing culture in the United States. The more culture in the United States is about chasing those bands. And we've seen what happened to some people, even in the YouTube strategy, when they start making money, how they change. And that's one thing I'm proud about you, Uncle Stu. You've always been the same. And matter of fact, no, you've changed for the better. You can even pinpoint down on this stuff and locking in on it. And you're having the conversation just like Nathan does. And Nathan, beautiful channel. And I'm not disrespecting everybody else. And God bless you, everybody. I'm always checking your channels. I'm sub to everybody. And I'm usually out in the YouTube streets. I'm more out here than I'm doing my videos. And that's probably why my algorithms are not so great. But anyway, yeah, but we're getting away from that now. If you look at what they're doing with, I say, like, even in the music industry, there's so much madness going on in Hollywood, and people are flocking to it because they want this little bit of money. And with that money, you don't get happiness. And what do we have is I'd rather be making 30, 40 minimum a year and have a steady household and be making six figures and have a messed up household. I don't want that happening. And so this is what happens this week. I always tell a joke, and I'll make this real quick. And it's, I think I told it on Nathan's page. Okay, it was about a beautiful black men going to the Million Man March. On the way to the Million Man March, the bus driver swerves to keep from hitting the deer. The bus goes off into a ravine. Everybody ends up deceased. But when they woke up, they were standing in front of the pearly gates, and there was St. Peter. And above St. Peter was a sign that said, regardless of your sins or your iniquities, if you can ask me one question that I cannot answer, you can come right into heaven. So, of course, you had a doctor who was a brother from Harvard. He's talking about the brain. St. Peter hit the button. He went straight down. He answered the question right away. This went on with the psychiatrist. It went on with the spinal doctor. There was this one brother, and he was a bag boy at Walmart. He reached over and asked St. Peter a question. St. Peter leaned back. He scratched his chin. He said, ask me that question again. He asked a question. St. Peter hit the button. The gates opened up. Doves flew out. The kid walked right into the pearly gates. So the next gentleman behind him, he says, St. Peter, I know I'm going to waste my question, but I seriously got to ask you, what did that young man ask you? St. Peter, he asked me when you Negroes are going to start sticking together. All right. And this is the problem. Right? So you get it. Some people get it. I think you're too young. You don't get it, but get it, because it's like we will sell each other out for so-called fame. What is fame? So everybody can know you, but you don't know yourself and you don't love yourself. And, so come on. And like I said, and I think I brought this maybe to Brother Nathan's page, and I used a metaphor. How many play chess? And they said, I said, so when you play chess, you have to be 3 steps ahead, right? I said, so ask yourself where we are in the game right now. And ask yourself, what is the system doing with you right now? Where are you going to be next year after this war and everything gets over? 2022 elections coming up. Where are we going to be? What are we going to be doing? Are we looking at the big game? And you see now that they went and started trying to push these voting rights, suppress our votes, right? This is the big game now. And if you look at, and I don't understand why this channel gets away with calling themselves Fox News. When they went to the courts and says, no, we're opinionated news. We're not Fox. We're not giving you factual. We're giving you from our opinions. And like you say, we get flooded with this garbage. Watch news maybe once a day and get it from an independent radio station. NPR is up here. And see if you can get it and just get it for a minute and let it go. Don't keep watching news back to back, day to day, because it's going to start programming you. And that's what we say, television programs. Remember they were called that a while back ago? Because it was on television and it was a program. And what did that program wanted you to do? It wanted you to laugh. It wanted you to fear. It wanted you to feel a certain way. So we have to be very cognizant of what we subject our brains to. And this is what they did too. It's part of the system real quick. Remember when it was actually one person that can go to work and you have the wife at home taking care of the kid. Now they made it to where it's 2 people got to go to work and you're putting your kids with whom? And whom do you put them with that you trust? And then they started doing this. Since mom and dad were so busy, here, just turn on the TV and watch that TV and leave me alone. Remember when you used to go sit at the table and you used to have a conversation at the table at dinner? Then it started breaking up to where it's kids go to their room, everybody's separated, and you didn't know what's going on with nobody in your household.
And you're right. That has all been done by design.
Exactly.
And I don't blame. You can never blame the enemy, right? You never blame the enemy. Not you. I'm just saying in general. When I look at all these things that's been taking place just in this country overall, just within our community, I look at us as a people, the country as a nation. I look at the people in this country, how easily we've been manipulated, how easily we've been fooled.
Yep.
Consistently. If we talk about our community in general, I'm about to put out a video this week in reference to an interview with a few KKK members. And one of the most interesting things that they start talking about is how emotionally driven the Black community is. Mm-hmm. How we're easily manipulated, easily deceived by politics. And they're asking, like, I don't understand how these Black folks keep falling for the same thing. And it's embarrassing when you have someone who their whole entire establishment is to oppress, to attack, to demean, to remove, Black people from, from any type of power, or just success in general, or just not wanting any minority group, any group outside of white, to be successful in this country.
True.
And so they're speaking on how foolish we are as a group of people to continue to fall for the same thing, the same rhetoric, which is why I'm starting this series called Black Lives Matter. The lies that are told in our community, why they matter so much, because they're powerful. A lie is powerful, and it's only as powerful as if you believe it, right? So the perception. When you talked about the news, and you say, where are we getting our news from? And then we have a news channel that labels themselves as Black News Network, right? And then you find out who owns the network, who's funding the network, and the person's, none of them are Black.
Yeah.
And then but we fall into these symbolic names, or these little tokens, and just because someone says it's Black this, Black that, doesn't mean it's Black owned or Black influenced, right? And that again is the trick bag that our community keeps falling into. You put Black people up there, but the money, the dollars are coming from someone that's not Black. We see that with Black Lives Matter. It's a perfect example of an organization that is the perfect Trojan horse. And, we just gobble it up. We gobble it up, and we wonder where the confusion comes from, where we have a division within our own community of those who see the problem as one way, and another group of us see the problem a different way, and not even understanding that we can't even come together to see the just one single problem, regardless of how you feel. There's one problem that's a priority that needs to be addressed. Whether you're for the Black Lives Matter organization or not, it doesn't even matter. At the end of the day, there's one purpose, one mission that we all need to fall under, no matter what your religion is, no matter what your pronoun or gender, whatever you choose. Nobody cares, right? The mission needs to be the mission. It needs to be consistent across the board. And like you're saying, Seattle Black Veteran, the dangers of getting misinformation from different platforms. We need people to step up, like Uncle Stu was saying. And again, shout out to TLA for someone who stepped up,
yes, sir,
and started pushing forward a new objective of professional standards, right? Coming out and saying, hey, we can do this. This is a call out to those who have a skill set, those who have whether an entrepreneur, blue collar, white collar. We need to start standing up and speaking out in these sectors, on where we're lacking in the Black community and how we can step up and actually become leaders in these areas. And so I love how everyone is doing their part. And like Uncle Stu said, me and him talked behind the scenes, just saying that it's okay that though, before the billions might be the hand, I might be the foot, right? Seattle Black Veteran, you the other foot. Yes, Uncle Stu probably gonna be the head. We make Uncle Stu. But then we need someone to be the neck. But the whole idea is that every limb is necessary for the entire body, and the Black community is a body of people, and we need every limb, every body part to be represented, to stand up, lead in your area. I could talk about a couple different things, but my specialty is law enforcement, and so let me galvanize the people in that area. Let me help fix that problem with a lot of other, brothers and sisters in this area, in the criminal justice, system, along with, and I'll couple up with, TLA. We talk about how we can, he could do things from a law standpoint within our community. What's missing? I talked about how we're only represented 5% as attorneys in this country. When it comes to police officers, only 12% police officers that are Black, only 5% Black attorneys in this country. So there's areas where we're not represented, where we're needed in order to kind of push this thing forward. And so that goes in all industry. There's not an industry where we're not, there's just an overabundance of us, except for like sports and entertainment.
Yeah.
That's where we are the most, where a lot of the most money is being generated. and it's also where we're being manipulated the most and being taken advantage of as well. So that's the dangers, right? The ones who get paid the most get manipulated the most. And they're not willing to maintain any type of integrity for the greater good of the body, right? Long gone are the days when you had people like Dick Gregory and, of course, Muhammad Ali.
Yes.
You know, they stood, though they were athletes and entertainers and performers, you know, they spoke out. They didn't allow themselves to be manipulated. And we need more of that, where it's not about the money, it's about the mission. And overall, that's what's most important. What is the mission?
Exactly.
Like Uncle Stu said, can we agree on a mission, and are we willing to? Someone's asking about football players and stuff, and they said, oh well, they got a family to feed, and this is on the last stream we did. We're talking about what needs to be done. I said, all those brothers making all those millions of dollars, and not one of them had enough sense to say, how about we pull all our money together and do something different, build a hospital, build some schools, repair some stuff. Are you willing to make the bigger sacrifice? Are you willing to stay in your communities? Or are you going to go to these gentrified communities that are, there's so much conversation that needs to be had. Are you all willing to strike? Y'all willing to sit down and take a knee real quick, but are you willing to walk off the field? Are you willing to put the jersey down for the greater good? It's 80% of us. They complaining about, I had a gentleman tell me, he's a good friend of mine, and he's white. And we had a conversation about the whole black coach thing and in the NFL. And he said to me that he believes that if there were black coaches that were as talented, they would get the job. Now, I know him. He's not a racist. And what I tell people on my channel is that what they fail to realize about some white people is that they're extremely insensitive. They're more racially insensitive than you probably would even consider them a racist. There's a disconnect. And I'm gonna give them some credit. I see your face, okay? So I'm gonna give them a little credit. It's not always about racism. Sometimes it's just a gross disconnect.
That's true.
Of logic, of understanding, worlds apart. They live in different worlds sometimes, and they just don't understand. And to them, it's so simple. Well, if they're good, they'd be a coach, you get the job. And it's just not that simple,
Nope.
And so my thing is, we have the power, we have the resources. We talked about it on my last stream. We are able and capable of doing it and pulling it off. The sacrifice, the pain of the sacrifice, we can't expect to have a revolution without any type of sacrifice. And I think that's probably where the biggest disconnect is. If you want power in order to have influence, power comes with sacrifice. And no one's going to give you that power. It has to be respectfully taken. And I think that's the part where our community needs to understand. Just recently, I got a chance to be around some politicians, and I learned recently that you can only per person can only donate $5,800 per politician if you are going to sponsor and invest in someone running for office, right? If you're a married couple, it's about $11,000. You're only able to give one time for that individual, And so at the end of the day, people in different communities are essentially, they're buying their politicians, And so we have to be able to peace out, brother. Peace out.
Absolutely.
We have to be able to do those things and have those conversations. You can't. It has nothing to do with asking nicely about what we deserve to have as a community. You have to play the game as a game is written. We don't have control over the rules, so therefore we have to play by the rules. And until you get the power and the influence, then you can influence the rules. But until then, again, if we're not on the same mission, right, Uncle Stu, how can we even get to a point to where we can buy politicians like everybody else is doing in order to demand them to address the issues that we want them to address? And if we're not doing that, then we're not going to get anywhere. We're not going to move the needle forward or anything. And our greatest strength as a Black community is in our dollars. And if we're not willing to sacrifice pulling our money out of these different industries, we're not willing to walk off a field, walk off a court, then they're going to keep playing the emotional game. And like Dre said, I thought it was genius what he said, emotions are like a sugar rush. And as you see, I see it all the time when it comes to police related issues. We get real hype in the moment. Our emotions take over us in the moment. And then 3 months later, we forget all about it. We forget all about it. They wait for things to die down. We're seeing it now with the Breonna Taylor situation. They waited for it to die down. The other officer got off scot-free for doing what he did. And there's no outcry, there's no rage. It was all temporary because all done through emotion and not done through logic. And the emotional festivities and arguments, they just don't last. They don't last. And
Right. I'd say emotions are temporary feelings.
Yep.
And the temporary feeling can get you in a serious issue. And you know that, Nathan. You get some guy who gets mad, want to push his foot on the gas pedal and just go beyond where he's supposed to go. Now he's in another volley. And you're right, Nathan. You said this too. What made me think about this too is when you start having, like, remember that show, The Boondocks, little cartoon.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Remember they was out and they were putting BET on Front Street.
Yep.
And Sony ended up buying the rights, and then they shelved it. They didn't want to do nothing with it. The same within Living Color. You guys remember in Living Color? They used to be cutting it. And who bought them out? The networks bought them out, and they tried to, they stole it, basically. They didn't buy it out. They stole that from the Wayans brothers because they were putting out some serious information, and it was coming from every side of addressing racism, sexism, favorites, all that crazy stuff. And what do? They shelved that. And so what they do is fill the slot with some more garbage and water the whole subject down. And you're right about that, with brothers taking a knee and nobody wants to get up and say, you know what, I'm not doing this no more. I think that nothing against our athletes, but I think, we are offering more to our younger generation, and you should have to be an athlete. Hopefully they don't have to go to Hollywood. I don't wish that on nobody. But that's just my opinion. And by the way, the reason why I stopped just doing this channel just for my Black and browns, because I started running across people from the LGBT community. I started running into people who were just ostracized because people didn't like who they were. So just like Uncle Stu, I'm trying to give it to the veterans. You know how I get a phone call.
I'm going to answer one of Nathan Daly's answers, and then I want to hear from LuCasley, because you are our guest speaker. And Miss D, boy, when she put it down, boy, y'all better get ready, because she get on fire. She get on fire quick. But the way you buy a politician, ladies and gentlemen, this is coming from somebody that is a political science major. I'm gonna bring you down. You good, black veteran?
I'm gonna go ahead and bounce out of here, Uncle Stu. But I always have to come up and show you support, and I appreciate your channel.
Thank you.
And you guys, LuCasley, as always, and everybody on the panel. And Nathan, it's a blessing to see you, my dear lady. I'm with Nathan on this. I'm messing up your name, but I'm on your channel, sweetheart. And
I appreciate you. I've subbed to you too. It's Michonne. We'll see each other soon in these YouTube streets.
Yes, ma'am. You guys, I wish you nothing but
service.
peace, beautiful peace, and blessings in your spirit and your hearts. And may God watch over you. Take great care and keep doing the work that you're doing. We need you out here, all of you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The way you buy a politician, ladies and gentlemen, you got to own a business, and you got to run it like a business. You got to know what a business is. You got to understand business. Politicians are bought because of business people. Business people run politics. Policies is what controls your life. When a person tells you, vote, if you vote the other direction, you ain't black. Really? You accepted that? The same person that wrote the policy that sent many African Americans to prison in the early 90s is the same person that's now given $30 million for crack pipes. What have your government done for you lately? You may have hated that red-haired dude. You may have hated him. But you know what? Those policies that was underneath gave more money to HBCUs than any other administration out here. Just saying, I'm stating facts.
And released a lot of brothers and sisters from prison.
Then we not forget that look, my son was listening to the one who got exonerated by Trump, Kodak Black. Uh-oh. Okay, that's another topic. About to get my YouTube channel taken. Basically, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna tell you something that I heard from Moshe D. Jackson, and it's on one of his videos. Black men, you want the black male voice. You want the black male issue spoke about. You want black men to have independence. I hate to tell you, the independence don't come cheap. Independence don't come cheap. Y'all love running to NTR. Guess what? NTR lost a major sponsorship. Did y'all hear about that? Major. Nathan Daly. He lost a major sponsorship. You know how he lost it? Because one woman complained. One to the company and got his sponsorship snatched. One woman.
Yep.
And he is one of the most neutral people on these YouTube streets. You can't get no more straight down the middle than MTR. And he has a master's degree in business.
That should go to show us all the power of an allegation, and then also the power of not having our own, because we're supposed to be funding our own people, right? When we see our people doing things and we want to get behind them, you see that they're doing a great thing in the community or they're doing a great business. It's our responsibility to get behind them. When we're out here asking, we're pulling a Whoopi Goldberg, right? Pulling a Nick Cannon, right? And that's the problem. You know, we have all the power, we have all the leverage, and we don't utilize it properly. We have all the money. We spent more money than the government last year. The government's military, we spent $1.6 trillion. The government spent $700 billion. You guys, we have everything. We're educated. We got what we need.
Yep.
We just, priorities are backwards. What's good, Perry Unlikely? Good to see you, brother.
What's good, man? Good to see you. Good to see you.
Don't worry, your boy ain't here, so you can be free. You won't get your car snatched tonight.
All right, you sure?
I don't see him in the chat. I don't see him. He didn't float over here.
All right, double check. Just double check, man.
But Nathan, you're so right, because I'm gonna put it out here. Nathan, I got a Patreon. I admit I haven't been pushing it, but you know what I told everybody? Why isn't the one therapist that I've had on this panel? Do you know he still don't have 1,000 subscribers, but everybody talking about trauma? Nielsen Counseling.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
we don't even get 1,000 subscribers, but we are crying about trauma.
Well, we want entertainment. We want entertainment. We don't want healing. We don't want, growth. We say we want those things, but again, the reality, Uncle Stu, is that in order to have progress, in order to do these things, you're talking about accountability. Probably one of the because it's self, right? You have to heal within self. You have to do the work, and it's not fun. None of that's fun. It's easier to be entertained. That's why, our community is so distracted. But I tell you this, and I was speaking to JB about this, and I'm going to bring him up on my Black Lives Matter segment, and we're going to talk about the power of marketing and how there are Black people who are educated, psychologists who are in the marketing field. They understand the mindset of Black people. They understand how to sway us through emotions. They're very talented in that area, and they are paid big dollars by corporations to manipulate us into our pockets. And it's a tactic that's been used for a very long time. And what was it? How to Sell to the Negro?
Yeah,
that video that was done, and it's still true today. That's how dangerous that stuff is, and it all falls down to our psyche, our mentality as a group of people. How do we break that? You know, we have to get out of that materialistic mindset, because that's how we're being played. Now, they don't want that to happen, because you think about every expense that comes out of our pocket is someone else's stream of income. And so if you correct the mindset of Black people, you think about how much billions of dollars people are going to be out of money. That's why they don't want Black men and Black women together, because, you know, women spend so much money individually. You know, no one wants to facilitate that union, right? No one wants to facilitate these unions of Black couples and things like that, because it's more expensive. They make more money with us being divided, you know? And so they don't want to fix the health problem. They don't want to give us any good ideas on health. Why? Because it's more profitable. What's your thoughts, LuCasley? I see you about to.
Well, chaos is lucrative.
Right.
There's a lot of people making a lot of money out of disruption and division. When you talk about BLM, there's a lady on YouTube. Her name is Susan Woods Nonprofit Solutions. She's an accountant, and she goes through the documentation and the numbers for all the BLM donations. And she's really good. I don't want to say anything bad about it, but I think I suggest that you all look up this lady. Her name is Susan Woods Nonprofit Solutions, and her main mission is to look at the BLM numbers and donations and where it's gone and where they are and where they're not. So
Oh yeah, you have to send me that. If you can,
Okay,
if you can
I'll
send
send
it
it.
in the, send me the link.
I just put the link in the chat.
Okay.
good.
One of the moderators will probably fix it up and clean it up, but I just dropped her YouTube channel in the chat.
She's very good. Yeah. And again, going back to, I think somebody, a while back, somebody was saying about home ec and shop and all those vocational type classes that used to be in the public school system education that no longer is. You know, they're pushing for kids to get into a lot of debt to go to higher education. And I know that there's a lot of people that are not meant to go to higher education. They don't want to go to higher education. Vocational and trade school would be perfect for them, but that's not what is being advertised or marketed, because it's not, when it comes to being financially lucrative for some, it's not. Now, higher education, universities for degrees that will get you nowhere, they're very, very lucrative. And that's where they're pushing everybody to go to college and universities to learn some, to get a degree that will get you nowhere, but they will get your money.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
This is all part of our state of emergency. I think people, I'm going to emphasize, I need young people to understand that Uncle Stu ain't going to be teaching you how to pump and dump. He's not going to be teaching you how to get a woman. But what he is going to teach you is exactly what I'm teaching my son. I'm teaching him, we're working with him right now. You're going to own the business and you're going to work this business. Because, hey, you can't afford to even work for somebody anymore. You can't afford it. It's going to be a whole lot easier for you to work with me, build this business, take off, have your own, and go hire your friends to work for you. Job security ain't there. Yes, when I grew up, my father could work at a place. My mom could work at a place, work there 20, 25 years, retire, no problem. Live a good life. Those jobs is gone. From the 90s, they started disappearing. Yes, when I came out of school, it was economically correct to go to college and get a degree and move on. I don't remember having a student loan going to college. Now, you almost got to have a student loan. There's no way in the world somebody's going to tell me they got the money today to send 2 kids to college, cash in hand. No way. Today, real estate, let's not talk about buying. Let's just talk about renting. California, up 40%. On the East Coast, we're up 30%. 30%. I've never seen a 30% increase in rental properties in all my life. I don't know if anybody up here has ever seen it. There's no way in the world an older person could have predicted rent would jump up 30% in 1 year. No way that prediction could have came. Your gas price, I understand what? California, gas price, $9. You know? So let me just give honor where honor is due. LuCasley, I want to thank you so much for coming here, for having an awesome interview. I'm definitely going to be welcoming you back. You know, again, if you want to call it the part 2, else we know we'll see you in the chat. But I think you've given us a lot to chew, you know, a lot to really think about. And we're not going to complain about problems no more. We know the problem. We now need to fight and find solutions. So I want to thank you for entering that conversation.
Thank you, Uncle Stu. I'm going to be leaving in about 5 minutes. I got other things to tend to. Nice to meet you, Perry Unlikely.
Nice to meet you.
Michonne, it's a pleasure. And Officer Daly, I love to hear your ideas. And Uncle Stu, it's an honor to have been part of this panel in this discussion. And I am more than happy to help out wherever and whenever you need me.
Thank you. Because a woman's voice is needed in here too. Me and Nathan, we talk behind the scenes. We need women to fight with us, not against us.
Yes, but the men take the lead always.
Yes. That's
absolutely. Thank you so much, LuCasley. You're so amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you, LuCasley.
Bye, Michonne. Good night, all.
Good night.
Good night.
Miss Michonne, she is in the one, very unlikely. She's in the 1K club. Look, she not
nice.
She monetized, so she brushing her shoulders off right now. Telling us, you know,
Nice.
Get down with y'all.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm just chilling and listening to the conversation. Very good conversation. I agree with all of it. And whatever happens on Wednesday, I'll be there to sit in silence, but I'll be there to support because it's definitely needed. I agree with all the points for real, especially what Nathan Daly was saying. He just wrote in the chat about there's no such thing as delayed gratification. I think I saw somebody doing a stream where they said that the black dollar spent was in the trillions, but our worth decreased.
Yep.
Like, I think in this last 2020, what are we in 2022?
2021.
Yeah. And I was like, my head just exploded because we waste so much money and complain, but we already have the power to do and make the changes that need to be done, but nobody wants to listen. And that's why I get so frustrated. My head hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah, the wealth has dropped. The wealth that we've owned has dropped. We're getting pushed out of our homes. You know, a lot of people don't see this move coming up, but I'm gonna tell you guys right now, the average black person is not gonna be able to afford a home in a lot of these cities. And if we're already not united together as one already, income wise, men and women coming together and building wealth together, it's just a recipe for disaster. The disaster is already struck. And I think the problem is a lot of us aren't aware. And I think that's the most dangerous part, right? It's almost like living through COVID, but not knowing COVID was a thing. right? I feel like that is how the Black community is now. We don't even realize how bad the problem is. And I think what'll happen is we'll look up and it'll be too late and we'll be scrambling. And those who do have means to help out aren't going to be willing to help because to them, it's not going to be worth it. Because like you said, Michon, the biggest issue is the inability to listen, the inability to just listen and just follow instructions. We have some in our community that don't want to listen. I'm doing a video I'm gonna release tomorrow about the violence. You know, we had like 15 and 2 16-year-olds murdered here in Atlanta over about 3 days, right? You heard about it, Perry?
Yeah, man. I was telling my wife last night, man, it was crazy. I think it like 9 injured. It's just crazy. Crazy.
Kids with guns, you know, and I talked about it on my channel. People, I don't think they believe me when I get up and I speak and I talk about how violent there's such a violent portion of our community with the young men that are wiping each other out. And I just don't think we take it seriously. Like we hear about it, we see about it. But I don't think we realize how bad it is. Again, here in Atlanta, just the other day, a 16-year-old, you know, tried to take a vehicle from a car dealership and shot and killed a security guard, you know, at the dealership. You know, when I talk about kids that I've arrested at 14, 15 years old are doing life in prison now, you know, 5 years later, I'm looking them up. I'm getting calls from attorneys about previous cases, and they're doing life, you know, in prison. And, you know, I talk about going to our homes and our communities and never seeing any fathers present, you know, so it's just like, man, what do we do? And the marketing and advertising, what's marketed to Black people is the scariest thing. You know, we glorify the drug dealers, we glorify the gang members, we glorify violence. We glorify violence. And this is what a lot of the young kids subscribe to. And we already know Chicago's not even worth mentioning. Chicago is like
straight outlier. I think I didn't even know I had Spin Fire, who gave a real compassion about what was going on in Detroit. You know, and what was happening there. It's that's why I say we're in a state of emergency. People gonna get mad at me. That's why I let you take the wheel that day, because Chicago Real says something, and it really hit home for me. Like, I need this generation to step up and stop taking certain words and just crumbling. I really, you know, it's like we gotta fight, y'all. The enemy don't care nothing about your feelings.
Nope. Not a damn thing.
They don't care. I mean, they don't. Oh, I don't want to cuss on my stream, but it's like they don't give a damn about your feelings. These people are here to take it.
Yep.
They don't want to. Oh man.
I think
I'm a holy for Winston.
I think the approach. I don't know. I think part of the approach has been wrong in. I don't fully think it can be something that's even. Well, I think it does start with teaching your own. I mean, that's the first thing you do. But I think the approach of I think talking and is important because you have to have the conversation. But I also think it's about doing in terms of. I mean, I really think at this point we're battling years of the music that we don't own. Years of it's this monster that we don't control. We have to, as men, step up, lead, and we have to show. It has to be that we rise up so much that it is what's popular now. You know, business, doing your own, doing the right thing is popular because we're fighting. And the truth is, you know, being a thug looks cooler. It just does. And there's not, and I don't know any person, certainly my age, that didn't come up and just realize like, you know, the perception of a thug just seemed cooler. Women know it as well. It's just how it is. And we have to change that. But the only way to change it is ownership. That it has to be ownership first. Then we can control it. And that's how you fix things. You cannot do it from the bottom up. It's too big of a monster at this point.
Yeah, because like I told Nathan Daly, I said the hardest thing is like if I had to look at this platform from a financial business standpoint, straight dollar for dollar, it's not economically worth it. I don't get super chats. Not, you know what I'm saying? Like I get them, but I ain't getting no $200, $300, $400, $500 super chats.
Right.
Let me and Miss D get into a good battle. And I call her every name in the book from the top of her head, sole of her feet. I have 100 people on my chat.
Yeah, you're right.
Why do I have to degrade a woman just to have an intellectual conversation in order for me to succeed?
Well, I mean, Perry touched on that too, Uncle Stu, and I think the reality is it's what's popular. Right. And our community, unfortunately, we deal in entertainment. We deal in what's popular. What's popular is what we decide is what's cool. You know, but when you look at other countries, and not to say that they don't have similar issues, but Perry, what you said was so genius is that growing up, we recognize that the ones who were mischiefs, the ones who got in trouble, the ones who pretended to be tough or pretended to be gang members, they got the attention. They were popular. They got all the girls. And so as young men, when we look at if you don't have the right upbringing or your parents not on you, and even when they are on you, you see a lot of young men who want to now subscribe to that behavior, or they want to emulate what they see on television through music, entertainers or football players or rappers, because that's what's popular. That's what's cool. And so we're willing to do whatever it takes to fit that mold. We now have to understand as a community that we need to reverse engineer that problem. Someone brought up on the stream I did and said that I think this was B9. He pointed this out. I thought it was interesting. He looked at a gentleman who was on the news, well put together brother, and he said, this guy's the problem because he didn't stay in the community after he got successful. What's left in a lot of our communities, a lot of the communities that are very dilapidated, what you see is a lot of the thugs, a lot of the rappers, they stay in those same communities. They're driving these expensive cars. They have the expensive clothes. They have the jewelry. So the upcoming kids are seeing them. They're not seeing the doctor that stayed for obvious reasons. They're not seeing the lawyer. They're not seeing the entrepreneur that stayed. They're not seeing, the IT guy who was a nerd who turned his life around. Now he's making millions of dollars. They don't see those brothers that are staying in these communities. We leave these communities. My brother put me onto the Bel Air show that's out right now.
Yeah, I've been watching it.
You've been watching? That's actually a really good show.
It's really good. I've seen them all. It's really good. It is.
If you guys haven't checked that out, it's a really good show. It's a more realistic version of Fresh Prince of Bel Air, and it's so accurate.
It is.
So accurate. And you have a situation where successful Black men and women, we leave our communities and we go to more of the wealthy white communities. A lot of our top rappers here in Atlanta, they don't live where they grew up at. They don't build a mansion down off of Bankhead. No, they go. They
McDonough.
They talk all that trash, and then they move to Buckhead.
Buckhead, McDonough on the outskirts.
But you know what? We have to have that conversation because it's a catch-22.
It
and
is.
I think we have to admit it's a catch-22.
Yeah, because they stay in catch-22. That's what ends up happening.
Exactly.
Right. That's true.
Give a shout out to Wealth Engineering. As says Uncle Stu, these days our community needs to hear your voice to find God and love Him in the midst of all the emergencies we see on these streets. That's why I'm here, my brother. I have not run. And as Ed, I guess that's short for special ed. Special ed teachers get paid. They get paid, bro. Don't stoop to the trash. No, ma'am. I can't stoop to the trash. I don't have a desire to stoop to the trash. I can't stoop to the trash and then look at the daughters that I raised and they look at your father like that.
Well, we need more, and that's the thing. We need more people from our community that have that integrity, where it's purpose over money.
Right. And
You
that's
know,
right. That's what I'm here for. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can show y'all how to do it. I've been as low as living in my car to as high as I don't even want to talk about it. But I'm doing good, you know. But it's a thing of I've been there, done that. Now let me show you how to walk the path.
you know,
You're right. Go ahead, Perry.
no, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say, I think part of it too, people are making it overly complicated. Look, I was raised by a single mother. No one that you come across that's known me my entire life will tell you that I wasn't raised well. I was raised well. It's that simple.
Correct.
It's just so I'm not going to go the Umar Johnson route, for goodness sake. But think about it. Think about, if I just think about my upbringing, and obviously I can meet other people who were raised well, and then other people who weren't necessarily, raised well, but still overcame. And just think about if you took a school of, and for me, I'm connected to the whole world. I don't care what color you are or whatever, but we still have to control it to fix the wrongs and all that. So, but think about I know you could take 20 young Black children, put them through a school system, make sure the education's right, but really the piece outside of just the scholastics, the piece of becoming a man, how to deal with money, those things. And you can't tell me that there's not going to there's going to be a way higher level that they achieve than those who don't go through that system. And that's just with not even, you don't have to know a ton. It's just about raising them up the right way and blocking them from the trash, at least as long as you can,
Right. And I tell you what's funny, and again, Nathan just gave a good argument, and that's like, okay, let's have that argument about staying in the Black community in the lower economics, and what that really look like. Because I can tell you what we seeing on these YouTube streets. Go ahead and get 10K and see how many YouTubers just hate you.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Go and put in the work. I refuse, and I'm letting every Black person know, I refuse to use 304 in any of my videos, and I refuse to say Pookie and Ray Ray. You know why? Because Pookie and Ray Ray is a derogatory term created by women who chose the wrong man. Now they become the Pookie and the Ray Ray, and we use it as a social conscious weapon to say, well, you Pookie and Ray Ray because you don't dress like me. You Pookie and Ray Ray because you don't do me. No. Some of the smartest dudes that I had around me came from those backgrounds. I'm not using that word.
Yeah.
You could go from welfare to multi-million dollars if you put in the work. You could go from middle class to the upper class if you're willing to put in the work.
Absolutely.
Everybody can't be running around talking about, well, I'm like Kevin Samuels now, I got 6 figures.
Yeah, it's crazy.
To say just because you got money, and I like what Nathan said, just because you got money don't mean you got wisdom. Just because you make a certain amount of money don't mean you know how to live in that money class. That's a whole different issue. How many millionaires run around making dumb decisions? I'm talking about athletes.
Yep.
That's the big proof.
Absolutely.
And a year later, they broke.
Yep. 6 figures, live with your mom, 75,000 in credit card debt. You ain't got nothing. You don't have nothing. You might as well have 20,000 and not owe nobody nothing.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah, but like what I was saying about Nathan, if I make it in my community, say I came from a poor community, I go back. Will I be able to survive? Or is someone going to hurt me because they feel I owe them the work and the effort I put in? Because we got that culture within. So it's like, oh, you made it? Yo, let me get $100. I can't give it to you, but I'll show you how to make it. Well, I'll just take it. oh, I like your car. I just take it. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So it's a double-edged sword. It's like, I want to come back. I want to be right smack dead in the center of your community, but will you not hurt me because I'm trying to do right? Now, again, I love to have that argument because I could be wrong. You know what I'm saying? But that's why I see a lot of people that make it, and yeah, it's bad. The doctor leaves, and we need to have that conversation. Why does the doctor leave? Because he's been teased and brutalized and verbally assaulted while trying to become a doctor to help his people.
Right.
I mean, help me with that, Nathan. You gonna push back?
Let me, Michonne was about to say something. What were you about to touch on real quick, Michonne?
I'm sorry. Thank you. I was just going to say, you know how you just said about the Pookie and Ray Ray, right? Because I really try not to say that for the exact same reason. I think it's an inappropriate, derogatory term. But this thing with six figures, I think that's wrong too, because people are tossing that out there like you're trying to make six figures. You know that six figures, it's a long range. Do you all even really know when you say this six-figure thing? I don't think half of the people know what they're talking about.
No,
right.
People think that $100,000 means that you're like Oprah Winfrey or something. It's just $100,000. I need people to start defining when they say six figures. Give me a real number, because I think they really think that $100,000 just means you've made it, and that is so not true.
And I'm gonna tell you something. Perry knows where I stay. Nathan knows where I stay, and I know where they stay. $100,000 in Atlanta and trying to get into real estate.
Nah.
You forget.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You understand?
You need $1 million line of credit to do real estate out here in Atlanta.
That's where we're headed. $100,000, $200,000. That ain't no money no more.
And with inflation, it's really no money. With inflation, it's really no money. And Michonne, to your point, what does all this mean? That our community is extremely ignorant. Extremely ignorant. And so this is why I love Kevin Samuel's shows, because it just shows what's actually going on behind the scenes that no one has really addressed yet. And Ray Sean just dropped it in the thing. He said reprogramming the community. That's what has to happen. And education is the only way to do it. And the problem is, the reality is, how do you reprogram a group of people who've been manipulated for so many generations? When you have people talking about, mind you, I said it before on someone else's channel. I've had women pass me up because they say, hey, I need to date a guy who's making six figures. And I'm like, I make 70K. Like, what is that? I own, just like Perry just said, I have no debt. I owe nobody nothing. So 70K for me is a lot more than a guy who's making 100K. Right. And he got 100K worth of debt, and so, but not understanding how money works, not just being financially illiterate. You miss out on men or women who are valuable simply because you have a lack of knowledge and a lack of understanding, so there is such a big disconnect there. And that's another reason why we're having the issues that we're having, because again, we have women who are failing to partner with men because they're chasing after this elusive six figures, where they don't realize if you take your $50,000 a year, I take my $50,000 a year, together, we are now making $100,000 a year. Or I make 50,000. I have enough to take care of all my expenses, and you come in with your 50,000 that we don't have to damn spend.
We can build something.
We can build something, and that's where and everybody does it, but us. We're so busy chasing after a bag. The men are pretending to have a bag to bag the chick, and then all they do is they just throw their seed in the wind, and then next we have all these babies being born. It's just foolishness.
We don't pick up on cues. We don't pick up on cues either. We don't pick up on good cues of let's just think about this randomly. Think about, if you want to say that the manosphere, the black manosphere, if you want to. And I'm not even talking about formal education, but most of them do. If you think about some of the biggest platforms in this space, whether it be Kevin Samuels, lead attorney, O'Shea Duke Jackson, Anton Daniels, between him, what he's got, and the Peep Network, MTR, educated brothers who work hard. I mean, what are the odds that there would be something a similar trait even in those who have been successful in this space that are Black? It's not like it's a hard formula. You put your head down, you go to work. The biggest thing I think is missing in our community is, even for those that have to turn around and right the ship, we're not putting in them enough to get them through that dumb phase. So they're jacked up by the time, they reach like 25. Right. And it's cool. It's fine. Look, you got 3 kids by 3 women by the time you're 25. No, it's not the end of the world, but I can tell you, it isn't like getting married and having none. Correct. And having a plan for knowing how many you want, planning it to a T, when you want to have them. Nothing beats that because you're prepared for it. Correct. And it just makes it way easier. But that's where I think great parents, and it doesn't mean things don't happen, but I do think great parents, at least you try, right, to get them to where they could kind of get through that. We all go through that hard phase or hard-headedness, just trying to get them through that phase to where the wisdom starts to catch up and you've not, screwed yourself out of all the opportunities you could have had, so.
I think that's why I'm doing what I'm doing Wednesday. And I'm hoping that once it leaves my platform, because I've talked to YouTubers behind the scenes, and they're going to put it on their platform. They're going to take the same arguments and they're going to put it. And I've already told them, they're going to have rights to certain parts of the other platform. Take it, do it. We need it spread. You know what I'm saying? It can't be just Uncle Stu. Well, we just going to wait because I don't have the numbers.
Right. Yeah.
I could go and look at YouTube right now, and there's probably about 400 people on somebody else's chat cussing a woman out. They're not going to be over here because I'm talking solutions. But I'm going to take what I got, help them to build, to develop, and then show results. And let the results speak for itself.
Themselves. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So sometimes I got to take the minority, make them successful, and let them spread it to the majority.
Well, good. That's a good point. I think that I'm taking notes too, Uncle Stu, while we're having this conversation. And one of the things you just said makes me want to touch on something, because the reality is we're not going to be able to. Everyone can't come along for the ride initially.
Yep.
And I think someone had to explain this to me, because I think sometimes I could be a little radical in my thinking and thinking that we have to get everybody on board. But the reality is we just need our best and our brightest. No offense to those who are dull, but we need our best and our brightest to actually put together a network, a system, a structure. And once that's put into place, allow other people to then come and then add on to it as they see fit. Because there are some people in our community that are down for the cause, but aren't really going to move or make the investment until they see everybody else doing it, right?
Yes.
And it's almost like there's another portion of our community where there's a lack of trust, and you can't blame them. They've been finessed by our own people. They've been finessed by leaders, Black politicians. And so I get that. So there's so much this, we're fractured as a group of people. And I think it takes a stand. We have to take a stand, just like how you're talking, Uncle Stu, now, is just, hey, we need to start having the conversation about what moving forward looks like. Understanding that everybody has their role. Someone, wealth engineer, said, Dr. Umar, bless his heart. Unfortunately, you guys, we have charlatans in the community where they may have started off with good intentions, but they couldn't handle the power, right? They couldn't handle the popularity. They couldn't handle the fame. This too is a testament of character. And so you might think that you're capable of handling it until you got that pretty lady comes up to you, right? Or all the fellas come up to you and they start saluting you. And then you can't handle the change and popularity. You can't handle the power, right? And so you can't handle the authority. Then you can't handle the money, right? The money looks sweet. You're supposed to use it and apply it in one area. And the next thing you find yourself taking trips, what Michon was saying earlier.
You at casinos.
Yeah, you at the casino, and you talking about how you
Mm.
gonna put the money back in the pot once you double the money up,
Right.
and it don't never double, right?
Right.
It'll never double. And then now the people's money, you know, you collected $4 million, now you down to $1 million, and you don't know how you got there. Now you got to finesse again to get the money back up. Now people start asking questions. Now the lady that you been messing around with, she called you because she's pregnant. Right? Now your image is gone down the toilet. Now black folks are saying, hey, where's the school at? Hey, where's this at? You know, people asking for a school. Now we in a pandemic. Now we don't need a school. So now what? Right? So now you look like a clown.
Yep.
And the people you clown look like clowns too. Now the whole damn community like a bunch of circus acts.
Right.
Yep. And to your point, no accountability on
no
that.
accountability.
No accountability whatsoever. Any other community.
Hold on one second. Let me give a big shout out to I Am Shalakemia. This is a black woman who has been holding it down for years, gentlemen. Years. You hear me?
Absolutely.
This is a woman that I have dedicated and said, this is the one that got me out of Red Pill Rage. So, you know, definitely giving her an early happy birthday. I was extremely shocked to find out she is turning 40 years old. Shout out to her. So happy early birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
And after she appeared on my platform, boy, she's been running around YouTube all over the place. So she is just doing her thing. She's 40K, and I love her. And hopefully, Nathan, you know, she'll be able to give me a vacation tour again and come on back over here and have these conversations.
Oh yeah.
But that's my girl. I'm proud of you, Shalakemia. Keep up the good work. Thank you for all you do.
Absolutely. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. You're good. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to point out accountability. That's all. Just we don't hold people. I mean, at the end of the day, any other community, like with this school stuff, it would have been nipped in the bud already. But
I'm going to say this: it should have been nipped in the bud, and then that's kind of what, when I say this platform, that's the piece that I am taking responsibility for.
Right, absolutely.
Is the self-development keys.
Absolutely.
I can speak to the economics. I can speak to survey. I can speak to the law, but I need y'all that specialize. That's what you do all day. I need y'all to handle that.
Right, absolutely.
I want to be that platform where if a guy come to me and he says, Uncle Stu, I got trauma. Dude, I got a therapist on deck. Go get the help you need. I got that.
And we need to, Uncle Stu, to your point, Uncle Stu, the problem is, and this touches on Umar and others like him, that we have to stop allowing ourselves to fall victim to those who are sensational speakers, right? And we, you know, they come with the pastor effect, is what I like to call it.
Yes.
That pastor effect is killing our community, because there are those who aren't as sensational as a Dr. Umar, and he's intelligent, you know, or other brothers and sisters like him that are very, you know, they come with that pastor effect. There's a lot of brothers and sisters who don't have that same energy, but they have the knowledge and wisdom that we need to be listening to. They have the integrity, but because they don't come with the rah-rah music, they don't come with all the sensational stunts, you know, and all the one-liner, punchliners, people, we don't gravitate to them. And so when you have a Umar Johnson who's very expressive, they speak to the emotions of Black people instead of the logic of Black people. We don't listen well when we have logical conversations. We listen to the emotional ones because that's what moves our community, right? You pull a hot sauce out your purse, now the votes is lining up. You know, you number one.
Don't forget the saxophone now.
Yeah, the saxophone.
I did remember when he played the saxophone.
Yeah, you putting on kente cloth, right? Putting on, you dancing, you doing the electric slide, you're
driving,
you're shucking it, and it's like, is this all that's required to earn the respect and the love of Black people? Like, I don't get it.
You got to repeat.
And I'm gonna tell you, to speak to that, it's so, a lot of people never really heard me quote unquote preach, like really preach, until I dropped the video yesterday. That's the first time even mine ever heard me preach, like preach.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have said, man, why you don't have this channel? Why you don't have, and it's like, no, I am not going to use, the ministry that I know is tucked in me just to get people roused up. I need my people in a call of action.
Right.
I need them to think. I did not go to Bible college to preach the word. I actually went to Bible college so that I can understand better about the Bible. It was more personal. But my argument is, if I had to go that route, I need them to know that even in the Bible, we was called to be leaders and to lead first. Eat last, lead first. See, that's a concept a lot of people don't understand, except if you've been in the military. We lead first and eat last, meaning we do what we do for the sheep. And after the sheep has been fed, then we can eat. And a lot of people has done the opposite. They'll sit here, open up a live stream, and beg for money for the first 30 minutes before they even open up their mouth.
Yeah. And we don't.
I'm not telling nobody how to run their platform. I ain't gonna lie. Between Very Unlikely and Intentional Millionaire, they always beat me up. Uncle Stu, you got a Patreon. Why ain't you using your Patreon, Uncle Stu? Oh, yeah, I forget to keep promoting the Patreon.
Yeah.
For my extra stream of income. You know what I had to do? I had one woman in my Patreon. Because I couldn't help her the way she needed help, I told her to come out the Patreon. One Patreon member. Why? Because I don't want you to waste your money and I can't give you the service you rightly deserve. Now, I do have members. That's the cheapest thing I got. I only got 3 members.
Yeah.
And Perry, you're a content creator. Nathan's all of us are content creators. It ain't cheap to run a page. It ain't cheap to run these platforms.
No, it's not. And it's time consuming. It's difficult. It's a lot that goes into it. And I think for me, I didn't know when I started, October of last year, I didn't know you could actually make money like that off of YouTube. And funny enough, that wasn't even my thought process of even getting on. And some of you guys know my story. I did my consultation with TLA before I started my channel. And I asked them, I had all my questions together. I asked them almost probably about 40, 50 questions, real calls, rapid fire. I knew I had that time. And I was still on the fence of whether or not I should do it because I wasn't as confident because this is, something stepping outside of my normal routine profession. So it's very different. It's very, you have to open yourself up for criticism and things like that, which I'm not a stranger to, but it's still different. And you're taking a stand on something very tough. And when I finally got monetized, I realized that a lot of my videos don't get monetized anyway because of the type of content it is. If you're not doing touchy-feely, content, things like that, all my content is considered offensive by YouTube. I'm offending somebody, whether it's the police, whether it's the Black community, right? Or whether it's white people, it doesn't matter. My content is not going to be easily digestible for everybody. And therefore I don't get that. So when I'm doing my content, I'm always telling myself that the true value is not in the money that I can get from YouTube, but it's what people get from the content itself. And
absolutely.
You know what I mean? And so I've already just I just accepted the fact that this isn't an avenue where I'm probably going to make a lot of money, but the lives that I'll change, the lives that I'll save, to me has always been the true purpose. Even me as a law enforcement officer, it's never been about money. I've never been driven by money. But
But that's why I'm so grateful and appreciative when I have people come up and donate. Uncle Stu, you've donated. You know, you dropped some gems and some super chats. LuCasley's always there, and so many other people have come and supported, and it means a lot because we don't, especially if you're making certain content, you guys, a lot of us don't get any we really don't get them. You know, you see the commercials, but they dropping like 10 cents a stream. I be telling people, don't skip the commercial, don't skip it now. Let it play out. Let it play out. But
I mean,
absolutely.
think about it. You dropping it. You know, Big Bad Bull has always been a great supporter of mine. You know, but it ain't. You know, I'm divvying out what little money I got. I got to divvy out to other people to do certain things so I can do the main stuff. You know, so it's
Right.
like I'm paying out more than I'm getting in. But I want everybody to understand. You know what my joy is when I do drop a video. Is it hitting the 1Ks like some videos are? No, but you know what? I'm happy to see the 50K. I mean, 50 people that look at that video that day. You know, or it's 80 people. I know I'm touching at least 80 people.
Yeah.
And that's more than I can ever say I've touched today. So if I know 80 people gravitated to that message, to that video, man, I feel good. If when I shut down the stream and I know 300 people saw this stream, man, I'm happy.
Yeah.
I know other people was like, yeah, I got the 1K, I got 14,000 people. Yeah, but I'm happy because I'm hoping somebody take something positive out of it. You know, when I read the comments, I read and respond to every comment. You know, and that's a joy to me.
I'm the same way.
Yeah, that's why when I go, you know, Ms. D, no, I be in her comment, I be like, come on, you can do it, girl. Girl, that was good.
Yeah. Yeah, it is hard. Yeah, I probably dropped my best video today as far as production wise. It's ranked number 10. You talk about a punch to the gut. But you know what's funny though, I have reached a point now. I'm just more in my head like 50 videos. Just count down the next 50. Much quality as possible, and just let it do what it does. If it's not my source of income anyway. So, but you do want to see, you do want to get those results, obviously. But the algorithm can be funny. You know, I think the algorithm is the most shady. If it was a person, it'd be the most shady person on earth. Just towards me, though, right?
Hey, listen, I'm working it out. Let me just give this big shout out, LuCasley, with the $30 super chat. It was a pleasure to have participated on your channel, Uncle Stu. And it was a pleasure. And trust me, we would definitely be fighting for you to come back. Thank you. Before the Billions is back in the house. And look, we pull Kareem out of she be in them tropical islands eating bananas and cantaloupes. You know, I'm trying to get that Kareem money, you know.
That island money, right?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Trying to get that kind of money. But but see, my joy is I've had the joy, and I need people to understand. When you get the joy and the pleasure of somebody like Edward Anderson, and he's rooting you on, and this is a 35-year-old young man, and he's been in this fight, he's been down in the trenches, he's been doing the arguments. Man, I'm always trying to support that brother because the fact that you are, you're 35, you see some issues, and you out here fighting for that black man and what he and fighting. Yeah, OG like me gonna protect you and support you every single time. You know, I want to support you fight. You know, being able to go on Bernard Riley's show, you know, and let the young people know, nah, I'm not gonna let old people come in here and tell you about the good old days or the bad old days. What I am going to do is come in here and say, okay, I hear your arguments. I hear you. Let's get together and let's fight.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if I'm married, somebody that's 80 years old married. We ain't worried about it. We got to worry about you now. Let's fight.
Yeah.
Agree.
Let's stop with blaming my generation because, heck, y'all won't even Google what I went through. I wish I had Google coming out of high school. I already be six figures back then. It'd be a lot of money. But
yeah,
it's like, look, I get it. I do have back scene conversations where I talk to 20. That a lot of people don't know. I talk to a 23-year-old every day. I talk to 25-year-olds. I talk to 26-year-olds. I talk to the 35-year-olds in my own neighborhood. So I know that the problem is not YouTube. I know it's not a YouTube problem. So what can I do on YouTube and what can I do off of YouTube? And it goes back to what Nathan Daly said. All I can do is, I got 10 people, let me get my 10 right. And y'all go out and be the success. And hopefully
make 100 right. Yep.
Exactly. Because how many people did Jesus talk to? 12 people.
Mm-hmm.
But those 12 turned around and did what? Bust up 3,000. The 3,000 turned around and did what? Create an entire nation.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's where the conversation needs to be centered around. When we talk about strategy and then we talk about the tactics. And so, again, I think a lot of some of our best and brightest over the past couple of generations have already came up with the strategy.
Mm-hmm.
I think now we have to then figure out what the best tactic is and then replicate that in all the major cities. And I think that's where we need to focus the conversation, because the whole idea is the only way to make it work. We know this is a mentality issue. So how do you fix the mind? How do you repair the mind? We need to start looking in YouTube for our best and our brightest psychologists and therapists to have the conversation. Some people want to start the conversation all the way from slavery. Some people want to start the struggle all the way back from when there were tribes taken before then and taken before then. Some people want to go all the way through the Bible and try to find out which tribe they actually came from. And the reality is none of us are wise enough to be able to put the puzzle piece together. What we do know is, like you said, the information is in front of us. We're not an ignorant group of people as far as, well, I won't say we have access to everything that we need to be great. We have the ability. We're not stupid people, right? Because we know we spend our money, we invest, and we prioritize the things that we want to do, not necessarily things that we need to do. And I think that's where the biggest disconnect is. And, at the end of the day, when you look at the needs versus wants, a lot of us are in the want category and a lot of us aren't in the need category. So we just have to shift that. So when we talk about tactics and strategies, I would like for us to put together different ideas, Uncle Stu, of how to best implement a strategy that we can replicate in different cities. We got to take it small, do a pilot. If we're here in Georgia, if we can't put a good structure together in Georgia, then it's not going to work anywhere.
Yep.
So we start small with a strong group of people with integrity, and then once we have something that's actually functioning, then we just replicate. We look at a lot of the grassroots organizations and see what they're doing, and let them do the piece that they're doing. We know the biggest challenge is the youth. We know the biggest challenge is the homes, the households, repairing that. We know the biggest challenge is education. So those are our three major issues. And I believe our focus needs to be directed on the kids, on the youth, because at least if we can get to them, we can start speeding up the process.
Right.
And so the key, though, to this whole thing is, I sat down a long time diving into this. It's about reverse engineering. And when we say reverse engineering, we look at how we engineer to think this way to begin with. and we look at our media, we look at the influences, we look at the idols, we look at all the areas of influence that comes through our community through sight, through hearing, and we need to actually put some type of a cap or restriction on that. When I was coming up, they had restriction on lyrics and music. They had restriction on movies. They had restriction on porn. They had restriction on, these things. And now you can watch. I could pull up Netflix right now. I was watching How to Get Away with Murder. It was one of my favorite shows. I couldn't take all the unnecessary sex scenes in there.
Right.
It was too much. You know what I mean? It was too much. Yeah. All the way down to hearing zippers pulled down and two men at it, right?
Right.
And you can't really understand why it was necessary to do that, to be that descriptive. Even any sex scene, right? The relevance in any sex. This is a crime drama. And, it's just kind of like, why do we have to? We wasted 10 minutes of the show. So
sex scene.
Yeah. So when I was a kid, those things weren't even allowed on television. You had to have HBO, Showtime, Cinemax, Stars. You have to pay extra money to get raunchy material, right? Raunchy stuff. And there's nothing wrong with it.
11 o'clock. Don't
forget you had to. There were gatekeepers. There were boundaries. There was structure. As kids, we used to have the Channel 99. I don't know if y'all know about it. It was fuzzy, but every now and then you might see the nipple slip through the fuzziness or something, right? Well, if those who know, if you're 80s, baby, right? You throw the channel all the way back to 99, 100. That was where you might got a glimpse of something,
Right.
But the reality was those things were it was so hard to come by as a kid. You just did not have immediate access to things that were detrimental to your growth, your mental health, your sexual growth, your sexual health as a child. You just weren't exposed so easily. You have to go out your way to find it. And so those are the things that we're dealing with today, the exposure. Kids can come out here. We had I'm gonna put this in the video I'm doing. We had a child that was lured out. I think the child was 14 years old, lured out of their home by an adult who was 31 years old from a video game, an app on the phone, some app, some building block app or something like that. I'm gonna talk about it on my next video, but lured out. And it's like, how did a 13-year-old get convinced to leave the home, run away from the home and meet this grown man at a Dollar General store, right? Like, so we talk about how the access, technology, I think who said it earlier on here was talking about how, I think it was LuCasley. I think she said that, we just give these kids it was what's the name? The veteran made a statement that give these kids a tablet and they just shoo them out the way, and then your child is being raised by computers, they're being raised by apps, they're being raised by television, cartoons. Can you imagine your child being raised by a computer app? What does that look like in the future, right? Your parents are no longer parents, you got a parenting app, and you just your child just sits down with a screen and it's being educated by a damn computer. This is our future, you guys. If we keep pushing tradition away and saying that it's bad or we're too lazy to do the work, and like you're saying, Uncle Stu, it's this idea that we want to plant the seed, grow the plant, eat the fruit the same day, and it doesn't work like that. And if we can't get back to the delayed gratification where you had to you had to hunt for your food, so what you ate is what you could kill, right? And so if you didn't catch it, you didn't eat, know, and that'll start fixing 90% of the problems that we have now. Patience, delayed gratification, humility, teamwork, group economics, stronger families, like Perry said, it's teachings, and not only just even if you're raising a single parent home, but where's the village? So it's on us as a people to define what our culture means to us and stop allowing other people to tell us what our culture is. And that is when I would say the biggest problem that we have now. We're being told how to think, we're being told how to look, we're being told how to educate ourselves, we're being told how to spend our money. And ultimately, we're being told these things so that we can make more money for the person that's telling us. And, I feel like that is the biggest biggest problem as I see it today. So, Uncle Stu, I think focusing on how do we reverse engineer the problem, you know, I think that's going to be key. I would love to hear people's thoughts on how do we go back and flip this thing, because if we talk about education, the problem, okay, how do we reverse engineer it? Because with a lot of the youth, the biggest problem with the youth is if it doesn't excite them, if it's not something that is pleasing to them, they're not going to want to learn it. You know.
I think Wednesday is if you want to call it, is going to be our genesis.
Okay.
Because I know you're going to take a lot of notes, which is going to be good, because I think for me and probably for a lot of people on the panel, we're probably going to be too much engaged in either listening or talking, and some might, you know, there might be some things that might trigger the older people, might trigger the younger people. We might both get triggered, you know what I'm saying? And we might not hear, but it might take you to come in and say, okay, we taking notes. It might be 20 things. And then in the back channels, all of us are going to have to get together and say, okay, I'm going to take this part. All right, I'm going to take this part. I'm going to take this part. And we just got to take the part. And, you know, 6 months, revisit, hey, how's your channel doing? And when we say, how's your channel doing? We're not looking at, did your channel triple in subscribers? No. How's the responses you're getting using this, you know, tackling this thing? Are you able to save 10? Are you able to save 20? Are you able to save 30? You know, because I can't save them all. Like you said, I can't save them all.
Yeah. And that's not our goal. Our goal is to put together, on my last stream, I pulled up, Uncle Stu, you were there, I pulled up a list of the jobs, the percentage of Black people in these major professions, from public to private to federal, and state and local government, like what percentage of Black people are present. And so for example, I've always had the mindset of, how do we start grooming our children, right, our youth in our community, to start pursuing these other areas that need our attention? And the whole key is grooming, right? So then what would that look like from an educator? And Stu, you know, you're familiar with this area here. And the idea is that we know we're absent in a lot of areas. We know that a lot of things aren't being properly, we're not being properly exposed to these jobs. But the reality is our counterparts groom their leaders. We are not grooming our leaders. We see this being done in the hood. We see it being done in gangs, and drug dealers. They groom their I'll say employees.
Yeah,
they groom, they groom they groom their lieutenants. They groom different people. Like we understand the structure is just being applied in the most negative way, right?
I think the way to answer that is, we're all going to have to take a computer screen into these schools, and then everybody's going to have to talk like we talk now. Like, I am going to have to set up something where I'm at, taking a laptop or taking a big video screen and saying, let me introduce you to this dude. Yeah, he might be in Germany. This one might be in China. This one might be in Georgia. That one might be in California, but they're here to educate. And we're going to have to do real virtual education, because I can honestly say, unless you meet an entrepreneur, unless you truly meet someone doing business, that's not something you're going to see. So you can't even dream, because you can't see it. I always said, and continue to say, you don't know what a healthy family looks like until you see it. I can tell you what it looks like, but until you see it, you don't have a way of replicating.
Right.
So on the platform, I gotta show you, what does it look like for men and women to have an intellectual conversation? What does that look like? That's what this platform shows. You don't have to agree with the talking points. You don't have to agree with the art. But, wow, you mean men and women can be on the same platform and not cuss each other out? You mean women can get upset and not have to go to the sexual organs? And, wow, so this is what intellectual conversation looked like? I don't think people's ever seen it before.
It's and the thing is, it exists. It's just not popular.
Right.
You know, the problem again is that it's this whole thing in our community is it's about popularity contest.
Right.
And if you're most popular, then you get the attention. It's not about whether or not you're right or who's the most intelligent or who has the answer. It's never been about the answer, you know, because we have people who are white but say they're black, and they get and the black community is backing them 100%.
I know what
You
you're
know,
talking about. Yeah.
the biggest problem in our community is that as long as we tell people what they want to hear, we are all for it. And so how do you then, again, this is the reverse psychology aspect that has to be key in this process, is for those who don't, if we know that we like to be told, he's talking about Sean King. If the problem is, if we know that there's a good portion of our community that only wants to hear what things that would make them happy, right? How do you then tell them the truth? If the truth is not what they want to hear, they want to hear what they want to hear. They want to be told what they want to, or what they believe is true, right? And this is how a lot of those people become successful. They just basically just tell them what they want to hear, right? We see it with Umar. We've seen it with Derek Jackson, right? We see what happens when someone does not tell people what they want to hear, and the type of backlash that they get, even if what you're telling them is to save them, is for the benefit of their success or for their happiness. You will get pushback from that. You can get canceled, right, for someone speaking the truth. So the truth isn't always something that'll set you free, right? At least not you, not the truth teller.
Right.
So what is it? It's the same concept with the scorpion and the frog. You guys are familiar with that fable there.
That's right.
And at the end of the day, you're dealing with the nature of a person. The nature of a person. And I think that's what we have to speak to, the nature. And then how do we then again reverse engineer the problem? Because regardless, I used to tell kids when I would deal with them about certain topics, I would say, if your future self came back and told you that what you're doing was wrong, would you listen? And 100%, they always say yes, they would. And what that tells me is that people only trust themselves, right? You trust yourself,
Right.
right?
You know what? I'm gonna put that question, and I'm gonna let Ms. D know that I'm setting her up. I'm gonna put that question in her hands, and I'm gonna tell you why. This is the one. Maybe I can get my manosphere card back. You ready?
Right. Go ahead.
Ms. D, women are the social construct that we are in, meaning you are the educators. If we out here working, doing what we got to do in the field, it is the woman that's home and doing the education. How would you respond to what Nathan Daly said? What would you say? Ms. D, you there?
I think.
Do you understand why I kind of flipped it that way?
Yeah.
I don't know if she heard me. I'm asking a woman, and if any woman that hears me that's in the chat that want to come up and speak, as you can tell, Uncle Stu, do not beat up on women. I want to hear. You're trying to
I'm sorry, Uncle Stu. What were you asking?
Oh,
I'm multitasking. I'm sorry.
Oh, look, hey, y'all can do that better than us. I'm gonna be like TLA. All right, I'm gonna concede that one. But the question that I had, did you hear what Nathan Daly was talking about?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna try to sum it up. The basic argument is, how do you start reversing the mind, reversing what's going on in young kids' mind? Because if we want to be honest, it's on both sides, men and women, especially
Absolutely.
young men and women.
Absolutely.
So we got to change. The reason I flipped it to you is because one of the social arguments that women is in charge of culture.
Mhm.
Women is in charge, is the first educators. And I
Right.
learned this back in the 80s. Women is the first educators, which is true. Women is the first social construct. So, from a woman's standpoint, what role would you say women need to play with Nathan saying, hey, we men trying to find solutions and trying to implement a structure, but if I can't get my sisters to understand what the men are doing, why they are doing it, because I'm gonna be honest, I got men that is being hurt, but they're not coming to a man's panel, they're going to women panels.
I was going to say, you first of all, you're going to need to have a willing participant, and I you know how I talk and what I say when I'm doing the videos and everything, and my frustration is always is that there's just too many excuses. So until women are able to say, you know what, let me take a step back, take a look at what I'm doing, and try to do it differently, and or at least listen to what someone else has to say, and then maybe I'll get a different outcome, and then I'll be doing better for me and mine, right?
Right,
So I put the mental health number in my descriptions, and in hopes that someone will take heed to it if they need it. um but I'm always saying, like, listen, if you keep doing the same thing over and over and over, you get the same result. When are you going to take a step back and try to change something? But I feel like, and I know people hate to hear that, but I feel like the problem is that women don't want to listen. Like when someone said earlier,
Ooh, child. Say that a
somebody
little
said
louder.
yeah, y'all go, let me turn up her mic.
someone said earlier, something along the lines of men lead and women are supposed to cook, like where it used to be something like that back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, something like that. And I had typed before I came up here, like, I think people take that too literally. It's
Right,
not literally that you gotta be barefoot, pregnant, and in the daggone house. It is just that you can make a contribution to your family. My husband and I work it together when we had kids. He's blue collar. There wasn't none of this six-figure stuff. He's blue collar. He has to be to work early in the morning. So guess who's going to take care of kids? Me. Guess who's got to get them to school? Me. Am I going to argue with him about him not having to be able to take the kids to school? No, that wouldn't make good God sense, because I'd be shooting myself in the foot, because then he couldn't work and make the money that we needed in order to succeed. Like, it's a give and take. It's a give and take. If you want to get something, you got to give something. And I don't know, until you get that type of mentality, that thought process in the person that you're trying to build with, I don't know what you can do, because you're fighting yourself. You're shooting yourself in the foot. And it's frustrating to me. And I don't even have to really deal with these women, but it's just frustrating to me. And I say, because I do have a lot of men that follow me, I appreciate you all. If any of you are here, thank you so much. But it's like, I'm supposed to be talking to women, and y'all want to fight me and call me names and try to run me off. And I, I'm a woman too. If I can't talk about or talk to Black women, then who can? Who can?
Whew. That's a powerful statement right there, sister.
look,
I'm
do we
sorry.
shut down the stream on that note?
I,
I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
salute. Sorrel Speaks is in the house. And let me also give much love to Miss Master Miko in the house. You know, I'm going to say a joke, but then I'm going to bring it back to a reality. It's so funny that you said what you said, because the joke in my home is, hey, when you going to be the Black woman that just go get my sandwich and sit down and just shut up? I want that woman. But the reality is, we say that in the home from a jokingly perspective, but the reality is, I'll tell anybody, I couldn't be where I am without her, and I can't go without her. Is that simple? No, it's because I am leading, and the things she do for me helps me go higher. If that makes sense.
It makes sense.
And if women understood, do you realize that if you took 10% of the weight off a man, you can almost double his money?
Women don't realize, and don't get mad at me, y'all. Don't get mad at me. Women don't realize the power that they have over men to be able to get what you want anyway. Like, you just dial it back a little bit. Just dial it back. Take a step back. Just dial it back a little bit. They're so in control and don't even know it, trying to be in control the wrong way. And if you just dial it back a little bit, you can have everything that you want and then some, honestly.
That's why I encourage men, if they don't have it, turn away. Don't try to build something that's not there. You can't.
Agree.
And maybe that sounds bad, but you can't do it. You just can't. Especially, we pick up habits, right? So as we get older, the idea of being, in your 30s anyway, and trying to drum up something that's not there, it's like going to the desert for water. It's just not. They have to already have it. That's what I'm saying. Like when I met my wife, she already had it. I already had it. We are who we are. Doesn't mean we're perfect, but we knew it was a good fit long before we ever committed to before we even started dating, right? And we got engaged we were engaged about 7 months, but we knew, hey, all the cards on the table. We 100% accept the life before each other. This is how you picture kids, marriage, faith. This is how I picture it. Right. Boom, we got it. Not just people really do just fall in lust or love. Like, don't like each other at all. Just
don't know each other.
Yeah, don't know each other. And then like 3 years later, you mad after you got married and had kids. It's like, I just encourage people to really do their due diligence up front so that because I think that's a good point you make is, like my wife, many days, especially lately, she has to get, and she goes to work every day, but she has a little more flexibility as what time she can get there.
Right.
Because I like to be there. I like to be there before the manager that works for me gets there. Several days a week at least. So because of that, I want to get into the office. So she already knows, hey, I got to take him. Or or ahead of time, if we can work something out, we'll work it out. But it's just about those things of understanding. And then also on the flip side, I know there's going to be, like last night, there's going to be a time when it's just me and the boys, and I'm gonna have to tough it up for like 3 hours, and it's gonna be rough. You know what I mean? But it's gonna be real rough. But also, as a husband, I really respect those things. So because even with having a channel and working, and the sacrifice my wife makes continuously, knowing she works just as many hours as I do, knowing that how they run me ragged for 3 hours, and she is with it all the time. I got nothing but the most admiration in the world for that. I just most respect in the world.
Yeah,
she's probably on AutoZone doing that too.
Huh?
I just want to give a shout out. Sir Harold Speaks should be real close to being in the 1K family. He was at 9:55 this morning, so I didn't look at his numbers this afternoon. So hopefully within a week, y'all be hearing me talk about he's in the 1K.
1K club.
Well,
nice.
Shout out
to him. He put in the work. He said he was coming after my numbers. I told him, let's go. Do it. Get it.
Nice.
Do it.
Shout out to Sir Harold Speaks. We have to do a collab together, man. That brother is he's sharpened me up. He's helped change my perspective on a few things. I ain't gonna give him too much credit.
Don't give him too much
credit, but he tightened me up a little bit.
They both in their early 30s, so you gotta give them ego parts right there.
Right.
Go on level, we be like, man, I ain't worried about that stuff.
Yeah, I got to bring him on. I think bringing him on, getting his perspective on my channel would definitely help bring some people over to his channel as well. So shout out to Sir Hell Speak. He's always supporting. Michonne, I wanted to touch on something you said earlier. Mm-hmm. And I think both of you guys are talking about this, just kind of that it's becoming a situation, and this applies to both genders, right? You know, I always have to make sure I drag the brothers too after dragging the sisters. You got to do them both equally these days.
Hey Perry, I ain't the one that came off a cold tonight. Nathan Perry came off a cold. Hey,
you see brother clearing his throat.
Right.
Where the germs be going.
Oh man.
So what I've realized is that Sir Hell Speaks said give him more credit. Come on my channel, Sir Hell Speaks. I'm gonna give you all the credit you need, brother. No, we gotta do a collab. We gotta do a collab. I think that'll be perfect. Talking about this police stuff. I think Michonne, what you said and what Perry said, I think you guys are absolutely right. And what it shines a light on, and this is what me and Uncle Stu talk about often, that it's starting to become less about the messenger and more about the message. People are having an issue with the message. You know, it's almost like we don't want to separate ourselves from the reality that we can't have things our way, you know, and that we have to play a position. And sometimes you don't get to choose the position you want to play. Everybody's not going to be a millionaire in this lifetime. It just is what it is. You know, everyone's not going to have the perfect marriage. You know, everyone's not going to have it easy. And I think the idea, I don't want to say the obliviousness, but I would say just living in this fairy tale mindset sometimes is causing people more being delusional. It's causing more problems, I would say, in our community than anything else, the delusion. And the reality is everything takes work. And if you take any shortcuts, it comes with consequences. You know, I had a conversation on one of the reality shows that I was on. You know, it was brought up a while ago, if you guys didn't know about it. But, you know, I had a conversation with the lady on the show, and we're talking about gender roles. And she stated that she doesn't believe in gender roles at all. And in my mind, I said, you can't have a relationship without having roles. And at the end of the day, who cares, right? The whole point is pick a position and play your position. You know, whatever position we talk about or we agree on, then you need to play that and play it to the best of your ability. And I think one gentleman brought up a question and said, well, you don't believe in gender roles, then would you ever get on one knee and propose to a man? And she said, no, she would never do that. And he said, well, that's a gender role.
Right.
You know, that's a gender role. And so we have to have these honest conversations about the delusion that's plaguing our community, where people don't want to hear the message because it's not ear friendly, you know? And like you said, Michonne, if you can't have a conversation one-on-one with a woman, with a sister, then damn, who can? Because we've seen it with Monique and her addressing the image of Black women. We've seen it with people addressing other things in regards to Black women, and we know it's not everybody, but the fact that, you know, we see the same issue when I'm dealing with the criminal element within our community, you know, from the youth to young adults to adults, and trying to address those issues with them or within their family or whatever. People don't want to deal with the message, right? It's too uncomfortable for them to digest. They don't want to confront it. They don't want the accountability. And again, the message is just accountability. It's just pointing it out, saying you are responsible for this. Somebody raised this heathen, right? Somebody raised that killer. Somebody raised that robber. What are you doing in this home? Let's open the door and look at, how did you raise this individual? You know, what's actually going on? People don't want to hear that message, no matter where it comes from or who's giving it, because it puts the responsibility on them to fix it.
Exactly.
And I think that how do we get to that? How do we get to a person to speak to their character, to speak to their moral obligation to themselves, to the community, to damn society? How do you speak to that person? Because it's embarrassing. You know, when you have to call somebody out, I think the issue that you're dealing with is the embarrassment. You know, when I'm dealing with criminals, they're more embarrassed that they got caught than they are about doing the actual crime.
Right.
You know? And so this embarrassment of being held accountable for doing wrong or doing wrong to self, because when you do wrong to self, you're doing wrong to others as well. And so it's trying to tell people or trying to show people that we are all connected in some way. And so when you sell yourself short, you're selling your community short as well. When you choose to raise your children poorly, right? When you pick a poor mate with a male, female, you're hurting the overall community. So it's like having a conversation about pride. You know, how proudful of you being Black in this country? What does that mean to you? And the pride also reflects on how well you love one another too. Because if we truly love each other, we wouldn't take each other's lives, right? Young Black men.
Right.
And so it's like these conversations on a deeper level. How well do you love yourself? By loving yourself better, you're loving the person next to you just as much, because you're not going to harm that person. You're willing to look after that person. People say, oh, Black women aren't protected. Well, Black men ain't protected either, because we getting shot dead. You know, sisters might be getting slapped up here and there, but brothers are getting shot every single day. You know, and the reality is there's an issue that both genders are facing in our own community, and it's a lack of love, it's a lack of pride, it's a lack of the image, you know, and so not prioritizing those things, we have to kind of get back. And so, and to your point, if we can't even bring that up and talk about that to where people are willing to make those self-corrections, then we're doomed as a community. Because if you're not willing to learn, then you're not willing to change.
Right.
Right. Thank you, sir. Sir Brian came in with the $10 super chat. Great show, Uncle Stu. Love what you're doing in these YouTube streets. Thank you very much, sir. To really answer that question, Nathan, this is where I am going to use the Bible again. Jesus was not popular when he said what he had to say. And you saw who he was correcting. And you saw what the outcome was. And
That's
you know
true.
what? I can't study the word and be afraid. I can't walk into this thing in fear.
Mm-hmm.
I know that these people, I say it over and over. If you think I don't love you, then why do you think I'm here? I'm going to you see what I'm saying? Like, I need you to understand that I'm showing up and I'm suiting up for the mission.
That's right.
So that's me showing you love. If you say, well, these OGs don't listen, well, damn it, I got a platform and I'm listening. You say, well, all these old people ain't doing this. Fine, I went all the way and found a baby boomer that's willing to talk. Since you said the baby boomers was the first generation to mess you up, I went all the way back to a baby boomer. I got you an older Gen X. I'm a Generation X. I got you a younger generation. We here. But at the same time, we're here because we love you. Because if that's the case, YouTube ain't making me no millions of dollars. I make my money somewhere else. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You understand? Like, I need the super chat because I need the advertising dollars. I need the super chat because, hey, it takes money for me to run a podcast. Will I give up? No. I'm in this for the long haul. But you willing to make another man rich?
Right.
Willing to make another man rich.
Right. I'm a shout out to MTR. I don't know him. I don't have access to him. I don't have none of that stuff. I don't have access to these people. So I'm not just shouting out their name just to say, hey, look at Uncle Stu. Hey, come. No. If he lost a major sponsorship, this is a man that, like I said, is a fair man. If he lost a major sponsorship off of one woman calling him a feminist.
Mm-hmm.
I wish a woman would call me a feminist, because I swear I'll go to court, take you to court, and take all my daughters, all my nieces, and I say, show me that I'm a feminist with all these damn women around me. Show me.
Yeah.
But what I will not tolerate is, you can't call me a feminist. I was a single father before I got married. A single father raising a daughter. Tell me I'm a feminist, because I made decisions, and guess what? I took responsibility. My daughter is now getting a master's degree, got an undergrad in mathematics. I dare a black woman come to me, say, well, you're a feminist. No, but my daughter is also feminine. All of them. All of them.
I just want to add one thing real quick. I'm gonna hop off, Uncle Stu.
All right.
I just want to add. I think also we got to realize in ourselves when something's lacking, and we just got to get help. I see stuff all the time that it's not even to pick at people, but you see the conversations. We got brothers talking about prenups and make $40,000 a year. Come on, I mean, it's not even. It's just not realistic, and it's not the money. It's the fact that if you're doing that, there's something lacking, because you feel you need to show off something that's not there. And that's just an example. We see it all the time. I mean, even with the 6-figure thing, even with 6 figures, like we talked earlier, it's not no golden ticket, but ultimately, if you're going to be able to get 6 figures or not. If you're making $50,000, you hate your job, you come home, you go to sleep and get up and do the same thing every day, you're not going to get there. You're never going to get there. We have to we got to trim away a bunch of the crap and be honest with ourselves. And if we're not doing that, sometimes it's just we're lacking something, and we got to get counseling. I mean, that comes down, because everybody does have their own type of trauma and stuff. But I do think we allow people to continue. I mean, come on. If I had $1 for everybody of mine back in the day that was going to be a rapper, come on. You ain't done no shows in 15 years. You know what I mean? It's like, but we have to be honest. Like, man, this is not for you. Pick up a book, go to school, do something. I just don't feel like we do that with each other. And maybe that's where not having fathers is, maybe not having father, because the dad will tell you real quick, look, man, this is not for you. Yep. Yeah, this is not for you. This is not for you. So this ain't you. This ain't you. You got to do something else. But I just think things like that, though. But I just urge that people will look inside. Will look at self, and I do that all the time. I mean, I'm really quick to say, hey, this is not me. I do enough. I've obviously done enough well to make a good living, and I'm very fortunate. But I also know what's not me, and I don't focus on that. I focus on what I'm good at to get better at. I don't drown in sorrow on the stuff I'm not great at. There's a lot of stuff I'm not good at. I focus on the stuff I'm good at and just try to keep on moving forward. So I just wanted to point that out. But I'm gonna hop off. But absolute pleasure being up here with all of you.
Hey, thank you,
with you, sir.
All right, I'll let you in the morning.
All right, sounds good.
Okay.
All right, bye.
I'm gonna just say
Perry's
this,
right on that.
and then I think we've talked a lot, and it's not just talking to be talking. I think we said a lot. That was good stuff, and hopefully the people will take it and meditate on it and realize, like, once again, men and women can be on the same panel, not belittling each other, not cussing each other out, and trying to go. Mm-hmm. And I let everybody know, if you don't think Miss Shawn can go, if you don't think she can cuss, look, hey Nathan, that's not the mama you want to come home late to. Yeah, look, that's that my mama situation. Like, girl, you better get out there and look, climb out that bedroom, because my mama see you.
Man, get up out of here.
Yeah, you gotta go. You know what I'm saying? Look, I I picture her like 5'5", her son like 6'3", and he know better. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but I really want to thank you, and I am going to shout out. I am going to call a counselor. I'm gonna see if he's available for Wednesday. Even if he can't do nothing but duck in, duck out. You know, duck in long enough to say who he is and let people know who he is, and get his YouTube channel, you know, in the chat, because you know we keep saying we got trauma. We keep talking about all this, and I'm like, hold it, man. We got too many black psychiatrists, social workers, and you can literally get these people free. But I've even set the Patreon up where if I get enough people in the Patreon, I'll pay for some of these mental health treatments that people are talking about.
I would like for us to get Uncle Stu. I know you have. I think you said you have some people in mind already in that profession. I don't know anyone. I do know two, but I don't think they'll be able to come on. But if you can get them, I would love to talk to them behind the scenes. We can set up how we want to have the conversation. I want them to be able to bring the receipts necessary to discuss the things that need to be discussed. I also think we need to have someone from DFACS that can be present to have the conversation. I do understand the limitations of me having these talks about what I have seen. And I think it's important to have people who actually do the job, you know, behind the scenes in our communities that actually work one-on-one in these households that can really shine a brighter light. I think the biggest problem is that we don't realize how bad the problem is, and therefore we're not focusing on the issues of the problem, right? We're focusing on things like what white people are doing, you know, white supremacy,
Right.
you know, and things like that. It's easy to focus on that, and it takes away from the self-agency that a lot of us have. If we just fix maybe 2 or 3 things, we can kind of start reversing this thing in the right direction. And so we talk about the things that need to be focused on, then we can focus on an easier solution instead of waiting on someone else to solve the problem, right? So I would be curious to see if we can gather some psychologists, some therapists, maybe some social workers. I think that'll be very, very key for the conversations we're speaking about solutions. They will be able to give us some more direct, based on their experience, in that field in regards to working in our community. So
Yeah.
let me know what you think.
Stay on the panel because I'm gonna close the chat. Stay on the panel. I'm gonna close the chat. But for everybody, I probably couldn't get it by Wednesday, but I will make that a mission to find that type of information. So yeah, I like that. You're absolutely right. People need to hear from professionals that's out there doing the work. You're absolutely right. So, but I want both of you to stay on the panel, and I'm gonna close us out. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you because again, you could have been anywhere on these YouTube streets, concentrating on anybody else's platform, but you hung out with Uncle Stu and everybody that came here tonight. I need you to understand, I say it over and over. Hit that like, that's free. Hit that subscribe, that's free. You are not a number. You are a person. I need you to understand that the bigger I grow, it's not about the money, it's about the reach. Let me say that again. The bigger I'm able to grow, it's not about the money, it's about the reach. Because we are here to reach lives, save lives, and most of all, we got to save the Black family. And that's my love to each and every single one of you. So Uncle Stu is going to be out once again. I thank y'all. May the peace and blessing of God be with you. Peace.